Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. The term self-made man has in recent years assumed heroic proportions. He or she who make something of themselves, supposedly out of nothing, are the folk heroes of the present. To have made the climb from nowhere to somewhere is regarded as the epitome of accomplishment. The only flaw in the formula is what did he make of himself and how? Generally, what they had to do to get there is far from a noble picture, and this portrait of Theodore Sampson is no exception.
Lots of actresses in this town make a very good living without having a husband who runs the studio. I want to build something on my own. Ted has always made me feel I was just a trilby.
You mean that trilby?
Yes, de Maurier's. The girl who could only sing while Svengali conducted. I'm going to prove I'm a star without a Svengali. Or die trying.
Our mystery drama, That Magic Touch, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by G. Frederick Lewis. It stars Marion Seldes and Michael Tolan. I'll be back shortly with Act One. Interesting story, this. It has money, it has murder, proven jealousy, unproven crime, and against that background, there are honest, simple people trying to live the right way, although they have taken the wrong turnings. Let's hear first from Ronald Sampson, an adopted son of a famous Hollywood couple.
I'd like to begin this from the beginning, although I, Ronald Sampson, was not there at the start. But my adopted mother and father were. Very much so. It was one of those Hollywood weddings of the 60s. Mother, a beautiful actress, a star at 18, and Dad, not much older, a whiz-kid producer who had just been given control of a studio and was twice over a millionaire.
Teddy, am I all in one piece?
I think so, Annalie. That was something, getting through that crowd at the church. I know you wanted us to go off to Mexico and tie the knot there without all the hoopla.
Yes, that's what I wanted.
Well, it's all over now. We really had to do it this way.
I know. Another public appearance to promote another picture.
It just happened that way. Triangle for Two is being released, you're the star, and our getting married is a great tie-in.
Oh, I accept all that. I really do. It's part of the picture business. It's what you wanted. And I love you. It's only I would have liked it better if we'd gone home to Beaver Falls and had the wedding in our little wooden church and afterwards just gone to Mom's for the reception with just a few friends.
You'll never again have just a few friends. There are millions of people who think they're your friend. And they love you, too.
Yes, and one of them pinched Mother's veil.
We'll get another.
Oh, it's not the same. Don't you understand? Well, anyway, it's stupid to argue about. I love you and I adore you, and I've got 5 whole days before I've got to get back to the studio. And who knows? Maybe a year from now I may stop working.
Why would you want to do that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll be raising a family.
Nurse, will you show in Mrs. Sampson, please? Oh, come in, Annalie. Here, sit yourself behind my desk. It's the only comfortable chair in my office.
Oh, what about you, Eli?
Oh, I'll just walk around. It's easier for me when I have a problem to deal with, especially when the patient is also a personal friend.
And I'm your problem, Eli? Okay, let's have it. What did the test say?
Bad luck.
How bad?
Probably you can never have a child of your own.
Never?
Well, you know, Annalie, that doesn't have to be the end of the world.
Well, Ted might think so. He'll be so disappointed.
I suppose it's wrong for me to say this to you, but I'd never have taken Ted for a family man. He's so wound up in the picture business.
Well, so am I, Eli. I love my career. It's getting better with every picture, but But never to have a baby of your very own.
For a woman, of course, it's different. I recognize that. Even a woman who's on her way to becoming a superstar.
Oh, sometimes I wish I'd stayed in Beaver Falls with my mother and father and my sister, and had never won that beauty contest at 15.
You're not the only one who's wished you could have stayed the girl next door.
And how does the script go then, Eli? Would I have married and had lots of children? What would have happened to me?
Who knows? Maybe you would have become a doctor's wife.
But no children. Oh, I'm not unhappy, Eli. I love Ted. I love my work. I'm proud of Ted. Since he's gone independent, they're calling him another Thalberg. He demands the best. He wants his own way, and he usually gets it. Except this one time.
Annalie, maybe you should think about adopting a child.
Adopting?
I might be able to help you there.
You could. I'll talk to Ted about it tonight.
Oh, I'm glad. You'll make a wonderful mother.
It's sort of ironical, isn't it, Eli? Everyone's starting to say that Ted Sampson's got that magic touch. But it only seems to work for pictures.
That same year, I was adopted. They named me Ronald. I don't know if I was more sickly than most children, but Dr. Eli Shawn seemed to spend a great deal of time at our house. And my adopted father spent a great deal of time at work.
Bertie, take a memo to Hal Lask. I don't like the candlelight effect on the dungeon scenes of Vampire. They're not scary enough.
Got that?
Next, memo to Pat Wiley.
Mr. Sampson's office.
Can I speak to him, Bertie? It's Annalie.
Mr. Sampson, it's your wife on the tie line.
Yes, Annalie, what is it?
Ronald is sick, Ted.
What?
I said your child is sick.
Well, I heard what you said, Annalie. What's it got to do with me? Call our pediatrician.
He's here now.
Well, then what do you want from me? I can't do anything about it. Honey, I'm in the middle of 5 productions, and you call me like this? I told you, if that pediatrician doesn't give you a satisfactory answer, call for Eli. He's on the studio payroll anyway. Say, Annalie, I think that new Book of the Year selection, Elizabeth Barrett, would make a doozy of a part for you. It's on the night table, my side. I want you to read it and let me know when I get home so I can put it in the works on Monday.
I got better, but the marriage of my adopted parents got worse. Those years when I was a teenager were something I don't want to remember. And when I was 18, Mother had a nervous breakdown, which is when Dr. Eli Shawn began to treat me as an adult.
Ronald, now that your mother is back from the sanitarium, I want to have a little talk with you.
Right now, Dr. Shawn? Father's coming home soon. Don't you want to talk to him?
No, I don't. You're 18, Ronald, and I'm charging you, as of now, to make sure your mother gets better.
But what do I do?
Well, first of all, do you have any idea what may have caused her breakdown?
You mean Mother not being able to continue shooting the picture?
I mean more than that. I'm going to take you into my confidence. I've known your mother even before you were adopted, Ronald. But when she was your age, 18. And then when Ted bought up her contract and brought her to his studio.
She always says nice things about you, Dr. Shawn.
Well, we're old friends. Ronald, today your mother is one of the top movie stars in the world. Now that means total dedication, work, concentration, and the absence of any strains at home.
You're saying keep my father away from my mother.
I can see you know the score. No, I don't think you can do that. But in the few hours they do have together, evenings or Sundays, could you manage to always try and be on hand?
Would that help?
I think so. Definitely. Just your presence will make it easier for Annalie. I don't think he'd do anything overt to hurt her while you're there.
Hurt her? I don't understand.
Oh, there are ways. Insidious, cruel.
Hello, Eli. You and Annalie got here ahead of me. I had the limousine all set to take me to the sanitarium to bring her home, but Marcy Dallas is giving us problems on location. Hello, Ronald.
Hello, Dad.
How's the patient, Eli? How is Annalie?
Resting?
You haven't said anything to her about Marcy Dallas taking over her part in Steeplechase?
No, I haven't. Been afraid to, actually.
You think it might make her worse?
It's possible.
Eli, I know my wife. She's enough of a pro not to let one picture getting away make any difference to her. She's still one of the top 10 box office draws. Eli, you're an old friend. You've kept the studio healthy, but you're still only an MD. I make the decisions here. And if I decide to tell Annalie it's no more pictures for a while, I will.
Good morning, Mother. I thought I'd bring you your first breakfast home from the hospital in bed on a tray. I brought mine, too, so we can eat together.
Oh, Ronald, what a darling idea. I don't think I'm much up to eating, but you go ahead and have yours. Put it on the table at the foot of the bed. I didn't have a very restful night last night.
I know. I heard.
You're a young man of 18 now. I guess these things can't be hidden from you anymore.
I wanted to come in and stop it, but I was too chicken.
Oh, that shouting last night. He was brutal. That's the only word I know to describe how he ordered me around. My career is over, according to him. I'm unreliable. That's why I've got to get on my feet and out of here. It wasn't until last night that I realized who drove me over the edge, and now I know.
Oh, no, Mother.
The only way for me to survive is to leave your father.
You said that to him last night.
Oh, yes, I said, I'm leaving you, Teddy. We need a rest from one another.
What did he say?
Didn't you hear? I thought his shouting could be heard on Beverly Drive. He told me where I could go, and he was through with the marriage.
What about your work, your career?
No, well, lots of actresses in this town make a very good living without having a husband who runs the studio. I'll only feel on solid ground in one piece if I'm away from him. And then I can build something on my own.
On your own?
Ronald, your adopted father has always tried to make me feel like a trilby.
You mean that trilby?
Yes. The girl who could only sing while Svengali conducted. I'm going to do my darndest to prove I can act without a Svengali. Or die trying.
Most of us are familiar with the double duty performed by a grain of sand. On the one hand, one grain can so irritate an oyster as to produce a matchless pearl. On the other, one single grain can destroy sizable machinery. So it is in human relations. It takes only the slightest irritant to grow and irreparably damage a marriage. I shall return shortly with Act 2. As I listen to Annalie trying to extricate herself from what she feels is the bondage of her husband, I am reminded of Queen Catherine centuries ago kneeling before Henry VIII, saying, I have been to you a true and humble wife, at all times to your will conformable, but your heart is crammed with arrogance, spleen, and pride. The difference in centuries is that a modern woman does not kneel or beg for what is rightfully hers.
Mother and I moved to San Francisco, into a narrow little Victorian house 3 stories high. We lived on the top floor, at the head of narrow stairs. Only Dr. Eli Shawn knew where we lived, not even her agent. She was first going to get well, then think about a career. But escape from Theodore Sampson wasn't that easy.
Annalie? Where are you? Top floor? I'm coming up!
It's your father. How did he find us?
Annalie, I know you'll live up there. Is Ronald with you? Annalie, are you in there?
I better open it before he breaks it down. Hello, Father.
Well, What's going on here? What are you two doing here?
Ted, calm down. I told you I was leaving.
And do you think I'd accept that?
You'll have to.
I've been giving out all kinds of stories to the press. You went to visit your folks in Beaver Falls. You didn't go to visit your folks. You're in New York seeing a specialist, seeing some plays. Who knows what I've been telling them?
Have you thought of the truth?
What? Tell the world you walked down on me for no good reason? I've got an obligation to the stockholders. A dumb statement like that, and boom, down goes our stock.
What do you want us to do, Father?
And you, Ronald. Oh, I'm surprised at you. You might have had the decency to tell me where you were.
I was protecting Mother.
From what? I'm not an ogre, no matter what your mother says. I was darn worried about you. Yes, both of you. I'd like to persuade you to come home.
Why?
I think it's best for you.
And you, too?
Well, of course it's best for me, too. I'm not denying that. Darling, remember that book I wanted you to read? We bought it. And I got Trevor Maine working on it now. It's a beautiful script. From her illness to her book of sonnets to Wimpole Street, London to Robert Browning. I can't begin to tell you. It's fascinating. It's a great period, great costumes. And that's why I want you to come home and get well fast.
Is that all you want to tell me?
What else? What do you want me to say?
10 years ago, you wouldn't have had to ask me that question. I think you better go now, Ted.
What are you talking about? What do you mean about 10 years ago?
Well, then you might have said come home because you loved me.
You know I love you. Hey, what gives here? You get away from that door, Ronald. I'll leave when I'm good and ready. I came to talk to your mother, and I'll go when I'm finished.
You can talk, but I'm not listening.
Hey, you come back here, Annalee. You're not turning your back on me. Come back into this room.
Let go of me, Teddy. You can't force me to be with you if I don't want to.
Let go of my mother. You get out of the way.
Oh!
Annalee, let go of those banisters. Let go.
Stop pushing me. You're pushing me off this landing, Teddy.
My mother fell down an entire length of stairs. By some miracle, her neck was not broken, and she lived. But for her, it was the most catastrophic accident that could befall anyone whose face is their fortune. On the day they were to remove the bandages, Father suddenly showed up. He sat in a room next to hers, waiting.
Terrible. Terrible. She should never have rented that rickety old house in Frisco. Those old rotten banisters giving way like that. A terrible accident.
Is that what you think?
Believe me, I would no more harm one hair of your mother's head than shoot myself.
Why'd you come to San Francisco that day? Why?
Because I wanted you back. Both of you.
Why? Because the newspapers were getting nosy?
Do you think I want to be sitting here in this hospital while they unwrap her face? Do you think I want to see that?
Why not? She has to see it. She has to live with it. Oh, why couldn't you leave us alone?
Look, I can't stay anymore. I want her to see her mother to give her this envelope. She wants a divorce, she can have it. She wants security. In this letter, it's all spelled out. The house, the lodge at Big Bear, anything else she wants, just name it. You give her this letter. And I just hope and pray someday you'll both understand that every bruise and cut on Annalee has hurt me the same way.
Oh, just you, Ronald? I thought...
Hello, Dr. Sean.
I thought Theodore was here, too.
My father had to go. How's Mother?
She's in pretty good shape, considering everything. Oh, but it's a crime, such a crime.
Is there anything left of...
Her face as it was? No, not much. That fall, it was... They're planning on pretty extensive facial reconstruction.
Oh.
If it works.
Can I go in now and talk to her?
Yes, she was asking where you were. Yes, go on in.
Oh, Mother.
Shh, it's all over. I'm going to be as good as new. It could have been so much worse.
Dr. Sean told me they're going to
reconstruct my face. I know. I'm not so sure I want to be reconstructed. Have you heard from your father?
He was here a long time. We were waiting together to see you. Only then he had to leave. He gave me a letter for you.
He did. Why don't you read it to me?
Can it wait? It's all about you having the house in Beverly Glen and the place up at Big Bear, and it's okay for a divorce if you want it, you know, that kind of stuff. Mother, you know something? Something I never felt until now. I wish I was your real son and not just adopted.
Oh, that doesn't make any difference. Do you think if you'd been our real son, we could have loved you any more, that we'd feel closer to you?
Maybe you wouldn't, but I would. You see, somewhere back inside me, I know it's all his fault, you being here. I don't have any good thoughts about my father, the great Theodore Sampson, who adopted me when I was a child. That kid grew up, Mother, and he hates that man so much for what he did. I hate him. I could kill him.
You don't mean that.
I do. That's the terrible part. I could kill him. Maybe if he was my real father, I couldn't feel that way.
Can you imagine, Eli, how I felt when Ronald said that to me?
Oh, poor kid. You can't really blame him.
When you don't understand, it wasn't Ted's fault. I slipped and fell down those stairs.
So long as you believe that.
What are you saying?
Annalie, I can't lie to you. I know that Theodore was responsible. I don't care what you say. All that nonsense about the banisters giving way. I can't forgive him either, Annalie.
Please believe me, Eli, it was an accident. Ted would not have had this happen to me for anything in the world.
I remember once years ago you're saying you wondered what would happen to your life if you'd never entered that beauty contest and become a star.
Did I say that?
You wanted to know how would your life have turned out. And I said to you, if it were up to me, you might have become a doctor's wife.
I've always known how you felt about me, Eli. And you were always where I needed you. When Ronald was sick, you even helped us with the adoption.
I'll always be here, Annalie.
Good morning, Mr. Sampson.
Morning, Bertie.
How did the preview go at Pasadena last night?
Well, the only bad rap we had on the preview cards was about Marcy. It just makes me weep when I think how magnificent Anna Lee would have been in that part.
Oh, I got a call from her attorney. The divorce decree went through. They're sending you a copy.
Ho, ho, ho.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sampson.
This is that time of year we used to either see her family in Beaver Falls or the three of us who go up to Big Bear and pray for snow. I'm going to miss that place, Bertie.
Well, why don't you go on up?
Oh, yeah, sure. And hang the divorce decree right next to my Christmas stocking.
No, I mean it, Mr. Sampson.
Do you think my wife, my ex-wife, could be persuaded?
Well, why don't you ask her? What have you got to lose?
Maybe you could put out a feeler. Maybe call the boy. Get his reaction.
Will do. Christmas spirit. Goodwill to all men. That's got to include divorced men, too.
Don't turn away from me like that. I know what you're saying to yourself. She's useless. Crippled. She's ruined our marriage. I wish I could forget her. Well, I can still be useful. I can still inspire youngsters where I teach to be honorable and speak the truth. And I'll go on fighting for them until the day I can't open my eyes.
Cut! Print that! That's a take! Wrap it up! Oh, Annalie, that was tremendous. When you're playing these character ladies, you are great. A more powerful actress than you ever were.
Well, coming from you, that's the nicest Christmas present I could have been given.
Why not, Mother? just for Christmas, let's ask Father to join us up at Big Bear. You know what they say. Goodwill to all men.
It's peace on earth to men of goodwill, not the other way around.
So what you're really saying is no.
I haven't made up my mind yet. How did you hear your father might like to spend a few days up at Big Bear?
Bertie called me.
Oh, Bertie. He's the one who said goodwill to all men, isn't he?
I guess he did, but he meant it.
He always means it. He's taken a lot from Ted, but he's loyal in spite of it all.
Why is that?
The year we adopted you, darling, Ted went on a hunting trip, and Bertie was his guide. And accidentally, Ted shot Bertie. It was a dumb thing. But Bertie's foot never got better. That's why he limps. Oh, it was all hushed up, and then when Ted formed his own company, he made Bertie his executive assistant.
What about Dad, Mother? Can he come?
I'd rather not. Not this Christmas, anyway. I'm trying to make my life again without him, don't you see?
Oh, Mother, please.
I thought you wanted to kill him.
It's Christmas. Give him a break.
Okay. Call Bertie, or call your father directly. Tell him to meet us up at the lodge. We might even have snow. And I'll do the cooking for you two guys, just the way I used to every other year.
Now I know what Dr. Sean meant about you.
Oh, Eli talks entirely too much. What was it this time?
Your mother's very beautiful, he said. No accident can rob her of that.
Eli's an old sweetheart. He's always had a soft spot for me, as I have had for him. I guess because we both came from small towns. You go along now, son. Call whoever you have to call. Make all the arrangements.
You bet. I'll do it right now.
I just hope having him up at the lodge... I hope I'm not making a mistake, that's all.
Strange about second thoughts. Are they indeed an omen to be heeded, or are they fears to be disregarded? Forebodings, forewarnings, premonitions, presentiments. How do we get them? And what if we are warned too late? I'll be back shortly with Act 3. It's a few days before Christmas. A top movie executive, his divorced wife, once the reigning beauty of the screen, and their adopted 18-year-old son are to spend the holidays together in the California mountains. It's the time of year for celebration. Also the time Ted Sampson has his annual medical checkup.
Eli, no. How is it possible when you check me over every year?
It is possible, Theodore.
But how can it happen? How did it begin?
These things develop within the human system for no discernible reason. Medicine is still in the dark as to the causes of carcinomas.
I can't believe it. Okay, what can be done? How soon can I start radiation therapy?
Theodore, it's beyond that. But we can start you on chemotherapy. And we should immediately.
Why not radiation?
It's effective when the area is localized. Yours is spread quite widely.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, this is the toughest thing I've ever come up against.
It is for everyone. But I know you're a fighter.
You've never liked me, have you, Eli?
I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. As a doctor, I'll do everything I can for you. You know that.
Eli?
Yes?
Why does it always happen to the good guys? Goodbye.
Not always to the good guys.
The nice part about Big Bear is that it resembles the state of Maine. Pine trees, blue lakes, wild birds and animals. Mother and I got there with supplies on the 22nd. The next day, Father arrived, and suddenly it felt like the old Christmases together before the divorce. Except that he was a heck of a lot nicer to Mother than I ever remembered him.
Annalie, your culinary hand has never lost its touch. That was one great spread. I can't eat another thing.
I know, until breakfast time.
Everybody, look outside. It's starting to snow.
Oh, it's beautiful. Ronald, what's that?
Where?
There's a man standing out there. See him?
Let me look. Yeah, you're right, Annalie. I'm going to open the door and ask him what he's up to. Hey, you! What are you doing out there? This is all private property around here. Hey, what do you know? He's gone. Can't understand it. Is he lost? Why didn't he show his face? He had a scarf wrapped around it. I know he saw me before he took off.
Teddy,
What?
look out this window. There, standing next to that big pine tree. I think it's the same man. He's holding a gun.
Let me open this window. Hey, you! Didn't you hear me? This is private property. What do you want?
Stop, everybody! Everybody down on the floor!
The man's crazy. He's shooting every glass pane out of the window.
He's not there anymore. He's gone.
Did you get a good look at him, Ron?
He's so bundled up, I couldn't see.
Did anybody? You, Annalie?
I just noticed one thing. When he ran off, he had a limp.
Sean speaking.
Dr. Eli,
Yes, who's this?
I've been trying to get you for hours. This is Ronald Sampson.
What's the problem?
Dr. Sean, do you think you could get up here to the lodge at Big Bear? I've been trying you all night. Father's up here, and
What? Theodore's with you and Annalie?
we invited him for Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, I wish I'd known. I don't like the idea of your mother and you alone with that man.
Doctor, the reason I'm calling is there's been some mysterious shooting last night. Like someone's using the lodge, or us, for target practice.
Did you call the police?
I did, but there's no answer.
I'll get up there as soon as I can.
Mother doesn't feel safe. She asked me to call you. She says you're the only one she can trust.
It'll take me about 2 hours, but I'll be there.
Bertie, I'm up at the lodge, but can you give me figures on how we did last week? Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Eli,
Annalie.
come right in, stranger. Ronald told me you were on your way. Ted, look who's here, Eli.
Oh, Bertie, hold those figures, will you? I'll call you back.
Hello, Theodore.
Glad to see you, Eli. In fact, I was thinking of calling you.
I'm sure you haven't had lunch. I'll make you a sandwich and coffee. How are the roads coming up?
Oh, not too bad. But looks like the start of a young blizzard. Oh, where's Ronald?
He went out to check the roads.
He also went out to see if he could find some footprints. Had a nasty experience last night. I'll tell you about it.
What'll it be, Eli? Chicken salad or roast beef?
Well, roast beef on rice. You've got it.
Gotcha. And a cup of black coffee coming up.
Eli, will you take my pulse? My heart feels like it's racing.
What is it, Theodore?
Last night I had these terrible pains in my stomach.
Well, could be the old ulcer acting up again.
It couldn't be the other thing already, could it? What you told me in the office?
Anything's possible, Theodore. It could also be psychosomatic.
My emotions don't control my body. I think there was something in what I ate last night.
I don't get the drift.
I think I was poisoned. I'm sure of it. I get these waves of nausea all last night, and now it's starting all over again.
Well, I'll tell you what. You go into the bedroom and lie down. I'll be in a few minutes and take your temperature, and we'll see.
Okay, I will.
Here's your lunch, Eli. Simple, but from the heart. What's wrong with Ted? He looks so pale.
Oh, this sandwich looks great. Thanks, Annalie. Oh, I told him to go in and lie down. Could be anything.
I just can't thank you enough for breaking into your Christmas holidays to come up here, Eli. I was suddenly very frightened.
My dear girl, I'd rather spend Christmas under the same roof with you than anywhere else.
Spoken like a true mooching bachelor.
I hear from Jock O'Malley the Rushes are simply tremendous in that picture he's shooting.
Jocko likes character women.
And he says you've made a lead out of the part. Annalie, to think how you've made a career out of
the face I've got now. I've come to terms with not being a raving beauty anymore.
Well, you are to me.
You're still blaming Ted, aren't you?
Let's not talk about him.
Don't you think he's been punished enough?
Do I? Somebody up there may not think so.
I didn't see Dr. Sean arrive at the lodge, mostly because the snow was coming down in a curtain around me. I was glad I'd worn snowshoes, and I was starting back when... Hey, up there, can I give you a hand?
Hiya, what you doing out here, young fella?
See, you're caught in a snowdrift. Can I give you a hand? Put her in first, and I'll try to rock her free. That should do it. You got chains?
What I need is cleats. No, I've had it. I'm leaving the car here. You live far?
No. I'll show you the way.
What's your name, young fella?
Ronald Sampson.
Oh, you're the Sampson boy, sure. I'm Dave Perkins. I'm the coroner and the sheriff and the whole blame shooting match. Let's go. Okay, kid. Mush.
Hey, you want me to carry that bag of yours, Mr. Perkins? My snowshoes give me better balance.
No, I never let it out of my hands. It's a coroner's kit. A portable laboratory.
What were you doing out here?
Somebody reported a man taking pot shots with a rifle. I was looking for him.
That night at the lodge, I got a good fire going, and Mother made us a family favorite, campfire stew. The main ingredients being hamburger, onions, and vegetable soup. All of us, except Dad, dug in for seconds and thirds. He didn't eat much, said he wasn't feeling well, and went back to bed. Afterwards, we all sat around the fire.
You're sure there's nothing very wrong with Ted, Eli?
No, it's hard to tell. Could have eaten something that disagrees with him. For now, he should stay off his feet and eat lightly.
Help!
Huh?
Help me! Eli! Come here, quick!
Eli, you took so long in there. What's the matter with Ted? Will he be all right?
He was right, and I was wrong. I think he has swallowed poison.
Poison?
I'm reasonably sure about it. I've induced disgorgement and hope he'll rid himself entirely of the substance.
May I use your telephone, ma'am?
Of course, the one on that table is the closest.
See if I can raise someone at headquarters and get an ambulance out here.
Eli, I don't understand. It couldn't be something wrong with the food. We all ate the same thing.
I'll be watching him closely the next 24 hours, checking his temperature, monitor his pulse. Oh, Mr. Perkins, did you get through to headquarters?
No, I couldn't. The telephone's dead.
Good morning, everyone. Just gaze outside that window. We're in the middle of a sea of snow.
Morning. Boy, am I hungry.
Coffee's on. I'll have eggs and toast ready in a few minutes. How's Ted today, Eli?
Seems to be improving. Pulse okay, temperature just a degree above normal. I'm hoping whatever it was has passed out of his system.
I've just made tea and toast for him. That wouldn't hurt Ted, would it?
I'd say it's all right. But I see Dave Perkins shaking his head. What is it, Dave?
Ma'am, if you'll excuse me, could I take a look at that tea and toast?
Do you think I put poison in it?
I'm not saying, ma'am, but if you don't mind, I'll take out my little portable lab and we'll have a look-see.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Eli?
You know, we have to take precautions. Mr. Perkins is right. Some of the foodstuffs could have been adulterated before you bought them.
Well, I'll take my chances, Mother. You put the eggs and toast on the table and watch me make them disappear.
I feel exactly as you do, Ronald. But your father's reacting degeneratively to some substance, and we want to find out what.
What followed was a nightmare. Dr. Sean brought the tea and toast into Father's room, came back, and we all sat down to breakfast. A minute later, there was a noise like someone had fallen out of bed. By the time the doctor rushed in there, it was all over. The next day, the snowplow came through, and we all had to follow Dave Perkins to police headquarters. All that day we waited, and the next. Then Bertie limped in.
Bertie, What are you doing here?
Well, the police asked me to join you. Sorry about Ted, Annabelle. Is that so? He was poisoned? Oh, hi, Ronald. Where's that coroner who's been doing all the investigating?
That's him. Just walked in the door.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've asked everyone who was under suspicion in the death of Theodore Sampson to be here.
We're all under suspicion?
Well, now, that's hardly possible, Dave. Are you certain Mr. Sampson did not die of natural causes?
We have identified a poison, and also how it was administered. You mind if I snap these handcuffs on you, Doctor?
You're arresting Eli? Why? What for?
For the death of Theodore Sampson. You see, on each occasion, Dr. Sean took Mr. Sampson's temperature. The tip of the thermometer used had been immersed in a toxic substance. The evidence showed up in my tests. Now, if you would care to make a full confession, Doctor, let me first acquaint you with your rights under the law.
And may I acquaint you, Mr. Perkins, with the fact that Theodore Sampson was suffering from a terminal carcinoma. I'm sorry, Annalie, that you had to learn it this way.
I didn't know.
I would advise you, Mr. Perkins, before presenting your case to the local district attorney, to have a more exhausting autopsy performed to discover the actual and true cause of death.
Are you denying your actions, Dr. Sean?
I'm saying nothing at this time. I do not wish to deny my intense hatred of Mr. Sampson, who's always ridden roughshod over anyone who would challenge his authority, yes, even his wife. This was a beautiful lady once. The man did not deserve to live. But I suggest to you what and who was the instrument of his death will take more than a country coroner with a black bag laboratory to determine. I wish you luck, Mr. Perkins.
Oh, Eli. Eli, my poor Eli.
My lovely Annabelle. Can you ever find it in your heart to forgive me?
When a man takes the law into his own hands, he had better be certain the law is on his side. For should any murder go unpunished, something is taken away from the security of every man's life. I shall rejoin you shortly. The Mystery Theater often delves into what motivates man to crime, and more than often comes up against a wall of the unexplainable when passions are involved. Hate can be a cause of murder, but on the other hand, so can love. What does this tell us? Only that the mind of man is as mysterious today as it ever was. Our cast included Marion Seldes, Michael Tolan, Christopher Tabori, and Ray Owens. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Were you afraid to know who it is doing this crazy thing?
Maybe.
I know I was. I was afraid of confronting him with what he was doing.
Or what she was doing.
You thought it would be me.
Didn't you think it might be me?
Well, yes. Or worse.
What could be worse?
A ghost.
Bernice.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, I know. But
Why don't you go and ask some of us some flour? Yeah, we'll do what you said. We'll spread it all over the mantelpiece.
all right. Ghosts don't leave any fingerprints, do they?
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The makers of Camel cigarettes present Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. What's America's most popular cigarette?
Camel buy billions of cigarettes per year.
Two of the important reasons why Camel is so popular are flavor and mildness. Camel's choice tobaccos are properly aged and skillfully blended to give you a smoke that's rich in flavor. And mildness? Here's conclusive proof.
In a coast-to-coast test, hundreds of men and women smoked only Camels for 30 days. Leading throat specialists made careful weekly examinations of the throats of those smokers and reported
not one single case of throat irritation due to smoking Camels.
Here's a suggestion. Make your own Camel 30-day test. Smoke only Camels for the next 30 days. You'll enjoy Camel's rich, full flavor, and your throat will tell you how mild Camels are.
How mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Make the Camel 30-day test and you'll see. Smoke Camels and see.
Here transcribed is Richard Diamond, private detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency, we deal in crime, but we're closed now. It's Christmas time. Hello there, this is Diamond. Every year about this time, my business takes a big nosedive. People usually pack up their troubles and start unpacking colored lights and Christmas tree ornaments. So tonight, I'm going to tell you my favorite Christmas story, one I always like to tell. A Christmas Carol by Mr. Charles Dickens. Now, I'd better explain something first. This version isn't exactly the way you've always heard it. Because of the particular type of characters I usually get mixed up with, this story is written to fit their talents and characteristics. Different from the Dickens original, certainly, but we feel that this story could easily happen today, anywhere. Like right here in New York, on a little side street just off the Bowery. So now I'd like to introduce our characters. Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge will be played by my good friend and guiding hand of the 5th Precinct Homicide Division,
Lieutenant Walter Levinson.
Walter!
Otis.
The character of Jacob Marley will be played by one of Lieutenant Levinson's most trusted henchmen.
Otis, that's you.
Huh? Oh, Sergeant Otis Loveloon.
Loveloon. Oh.
Walt.
Oh, sorry, Alan.
Tiny Tim will be played by our corner newsboy.
Hi, I'm Johnny Rollins.
Tiny Tim's mother will be played by my red-headed gal friend,
Helen Asher.
The rest of the characters will be played by members of the 5th Precinct Police Station.
Officer O'Reilly.
Officer Leskowitz.
Sergeant Miller.
The music will be furnished by the 5th Precinct Police Band, directed by Patrolman Worth.
Hi.
And now, our version of the Christmas classic, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Once upon a time, there was a nasty old guy named Ebenezer Scrooge. He was nasty, all right. He didn't like anything, except maybe all the dough he could get his hands on. Scrooge had a little business that he started with his partner, Jacob Marley. The outfit was known as Scrooge and Marley Loan Company. But one day, poor old Marley just up and keeled over. So the boys along the big street gave him a nice funeral, and old man Scrooge took over the business. Well, Marley had been dead for 7 years, and Scrooge lived alone in his little room over the office, and for a hobby, he hated everybody. He had a young guy working for him named Bob Cratchit. Bob had a wife and 4 kids and made just enough to make ends meet. Scrooge used to ride him all the time. When he got so cold the polar bears complained, Cratchit would turn on the little heater and Scrooge would say,
Cratchit, what do you think you're doing?
Turning on the heat, that's what I'm doing. My fingers look like popsicles.
I don't care if they come in 6 delicious flavors. Every time you turn on that heater, it costs me money. Business is not good, so get back to your work. And turn off the heat.
Oh, now look, Mr. Scrooge, I'm freezing. This pen ain't guaranteed to write under ice.
I'm telling you once more, get back to your work.
Okay, but I don't know why you worry about business. Why not just put up a sign and turn the joint into a skating rink? Merry Christmas, Mr. Scrooge.
Oh, swell. Merry Christmas. Ah, humbug.
Humbug?
Yes, humbug. My old man didn't like Christmas, and that's what he used to say. Humbug.
Okay, humbug. It's still Christmas, and I don't see where you get off not liking it. This is supposed to be the time everybody gets with it. Everything stops. It ain't much good, and you put your arm around the next guy and you tell him Merry Christmas.
I'm going to put my arm around you with a hammer on the end of it if you don't lay off this goodwill stuff.
Look, what's with you? What have you got against Christmas?
You showed me a way to make $100 every Christmas, and I'll fall in love with it. You want me to be merry?
Well, sure.
Then go get some of those joyous clients of mine to pay off their loans. Merry Christmas. Humbug!
Okay, then, humbug. But it's still cold in here. Have some icicles, but give them back after the holidays. They're my fingers.
Late that evening, Scrooge went upstairs to his room, the room where Jacob Marley used to stay. It was dark in the little hall, and when Scrooge reached for the door, he looked up at the big brass knocker and saw...
Holy cow. Could have sworn that was old Jake's face in the knocker. I must be working too hard.
So in he went, a little shaky after seeing Jake Marley's face, but he just passed it off his nerves. He closed the door and locked it, then got a fire going and started to relax. But every tile around the fireplace started looking like Jake Marley's face.
Oh, now come on, there, old boy. You got to get hold of yourself. This is ridiculous. I haven't touched a drop in weeks.
He got up and walked around the room a few times, then went back and sat down again. He stretched, rested his head on the back of the chair. From somewhere a bell started chiming, and Scrooge sat straight up in his chair. He heard something else, too, something from downstairs.
What the... Oh, now what is that? What's going on here? Who's that? Come on, who's out there?
And all of a sudden, it came right out through the wall.
All right, sit still, Scrooge.
Marley. Jake Marley. Oh, no, I gotta stop eating lobster. Ooh, it couldn't be. What's with you? Who are you?
Jake Marley. Who else?
You're dead.
The deadest. But nevertheless, Jake Marley.
His ghost.
Oh, you are very sharp today, Scrooge, old boy.
I don't believe it.
You got eyes, ain't you?
Yeah, and I got a bad stomach, too. That's who you are. Nothing but a bad case of indigestion.
You don't think I'm a ghost, huh? Okay. Maybe a good scare will change your mind.
No. Stay away from me. All right. I believe you.
You sold on the idea?
Yeah. But why did you come to see me?
Regulations. Every man's supposed to live his life and help his buddies. If he don't do it while he's alive, then he gotta do it after he kicks off.
Oh, cut it out! Why come to me?
Because you're gonna end up just like me, unless we do something in a hurry. Now, I haven't got much time, so you better listen.
Oh, I don't want to be like you. I'll listen.
Okay. You are gonna have 3 visitors. You are gonna be haunted by 3 spirits.
Oh, no.
It is the only way you can keep from being like me. When you hear the bell strike 1, the first one will be here. Well, I gotta be going. You won't see me again, but you remember what I told you. So long, Scrooge, old boy. Your goosebumps can relax now. Cut it out!
After the ghost took off, Scrooge just refused to believe it.
Nuts. It's ridiculous. Humbug.
Then he climbed into the sack and was soon snoring up a storm. When Scrooge awoke, it was still dark, and the bell from the church on 53rd Street was striking 12. He lay awake listening and thinking to himself.
Just a dream. Ghosts.
Finally, he dropped off again and slept for about an hour. Then the bell struck 1.
1 o'clock. I don't see no ghost. I knew it was something I ate.
All of a sudden, a big light flashed in the room, and the first of the spirits stood before him.
Hi, Scrooge.
Oh, Jake was right. Are you the first spirit that Jake said had come to haunt me?
Yeah, you know it.
Well, who are you?
Me? I'm the ghost of Christmas past.
Yeah? How long past?
Your past. Come on. We're gonna take a little ride.
Well, where are we going?
Just relax. I'm running this tour.
Well, let me get my pants.
You got 'em.
Oh, they're on me.
With that, the ghost of Christmas past grabbed Scrooge by the hand, and they both flew out of the window. Scrooge nearly lost his upper plate, but before he could yell for help, he was standing in front of a dirty, ramshackle old tenement building.
You know where you are?
Sure, I know where I am. This is where I was brought up. Even the garbage cans are the same.
You had a pretty tough time when you were a kid, didn't you?
The toughest? I wasn't very big. The rest of the kids in the neighborhood were. I had more black eyes than a crow.
You want to go in?
What for?
To see your folks.
My folks died a long, long time ago.
They're there now. Come on.
But the ghost took old Scrooge into the building and showed him a Christmas, years past, when he was a child with his family. Sure, it was tough living in 2 little rooms like that, but Scrooge remembered how wonderful it really was.
What's the matter, Scrooge?
Huh? Oh, I've got something in my eye.
You were pretty lonely when your folks... when they,
Yeah. You know, there was a young kid that came around earlier this evening and sang some carols. Gee, I wish...
Yeah? What do you wish?
Oh, nothing.
Come on. I want to show you another Christmas.
The spirit showed him another Christmas, and still another. And you know, no matter how tough Scrooge remembered his childhood had been, it always seemed that Christmas was wonderful. Then before he knew it, Scrooge was back in his little room, and the spirit was gone. Scrooge was pretty beat, and he climbed into bed and dropped into a heavy sleep.
Merry Christmas. What's that? It's 2 o'clock. Hey, that light in the other room. I got burglars.
Hey, Scrooge, come on in.
Who's that? What are you doing in the other room?
Come on in and take a look. It's pretty nifty.
Hey, what is this? What have you done to the room? Looks like Macy's window. Where'd you get all the holly and the mistletoe? And how did you get in here?
Do you like it?
Oh, for Pete's sake, a Christmas tree. Who are you?
The ghost of Christmas present. Now, don't tell me you don't like the way I fix things up. I work pretty hard.
Oh, second ghost. Okay, take me wherever you want to go, but believe me, next time I try the train.
Let's go. Now what do you see?
I see bright colored lights, people having a lot of fun, kids on sleighs.
See that building over there? The one with the big reef on the front door?
Yeah, that's where Bob Cratchit lives. He works for me. Hey, look, there's Bob now.
Yeah, going into the house. Up all those stairs to the 5th floor. He's got his little boy on his back.
Tiny Tim.
Yeah. He got polio last summer. Pretty sick little boy.
I know. Bob said he'd need a lot of care if he was ever going to walk again.
Come on. Let's take a peek.
Hi.
Hello, honey. You and Tim have a good time?
The best. Didn't we, Tim?
Yeah, Dad. We watched all the kids in the block on their sleds. Mom, will I ever be able to ride a sled?
Of course, Tim. Won't he, dear?
Well, sure thing, Roughneck. Next Christmas, you'll be out there doing belly whoppers with the rest of them.
Dad, what's the matter? Your eyes are all wet.
Nothing, Tim. I just got some snow in them.
You want some chicken, Tim?
No turkey?
No, but lots of cranberries.
Okay. Can I sit next to you, Dad?
You just bet.
Bob, will you say grace, dear?
Can I say something first, Mom?
Of course, Tim. What would you like to say?
God bless us, everyone.
What's the matter, Scrooge, old boy? Got some snow in your eyes, too?
Tell me something.
Sure, if I can.
What about Tiny Tim?
Well, can't say for sure. If his old man makes enough money next year to get the white doctor, little Tim will get along just fine. But times are tough, aren't they, Scrooge?
Yeah.
Now the spirit of Christmas present took Scrooge to many places and showed him a lot of happiness and a lot of misery. And finally back to his little room, and the spirit was gone.
Oh, I don't know whether I can take much more of this.
Then a new ghost drifted in. This was worst yet. He was really done up for haunting. He was all dressed in black with one arm sticking out and pointing right at poor old Scrooge. This was the last one of the spirits. Scrooge's knees sounded like castanets on a reducing machine.
Okay, you don't have to tell me. You're the ghost of the Christmas that hasn't come yet. You I'm really scared of.
The ghost took off with Scrooge right after him. The city disappeared, and Scrooge found himself on the outskirts of town, standing in the graveyard. The night was howling like it was mad, and as Scrooge looked down, he saw...
Hey, what's this? What's this stone?
The black spirit stood still and pointed, so Scrooge leaned down, pulled away the bushes, and saw it was a tombstone.
There's a name here. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, no. No. Look at this. Believe me, I don't want this. I know I've done wrong, but I'm not kidding. I really know what Christmas means. It doesn't mean just today or tomorrow. It's every day of your life. I swear I'll do better. Only take me away from this. Let me try. Let me try to make Christmas right for me and for everybody else. Please, please don't let this happen. Give me another chance. Well, don't just stand there. Put your arm back in. You'll catch cold. Well, say something.
Suddenly Scrooge dropped to his knees and reached out for the spirit. But something happened. The spirit started to shrink, then it collapsed. And when Scrooge looked up...
What the... My bedpost. My own bedpost. I'm home. Oh, thank goodness. I lived the past, the present, and the future, and now I'm home. Hallelujah! Spirit, wherever you are, believe me, from now on, things are going to be different. Oh, yeah, and thanks.
Paper, get your morning paper.
Hey, boy!
Yeah?
What day is this?
It's Christmas. What's with you?
Christmas! Oh, boy, I haven't missed it. The spooks did it all in one night. Boy!
Oh, it's you, Mr. Scrooge.
How many papers you got?
I don't know.
Well, here's
What?
$5. $5. Throw them away and then go have yourself a Merry Christmas.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Scrooge. And a Merry Christmas to you.
Oh, boy, say that again.
Thanks.
No, the other.
Oh, you mean Merry Christmas?
Yeah, that's it. Merry Christmas.
Okay, I'm coming. What's the matter with you? Can't you see the store's closed? Look, mister, the store's... Ebenezer Scrooge.
Merry Christmas, Barney.
You've been drinking?
Not a drop. Well, what's the matter? Ain't you going to wish me a Merry Christmas?
Oh, sure, Sure. Come on in. The wife's upstairs with her mother, but I got a bottle in the back.
Look, Barney, I know your grocery store is closed, but you could still sell me a turkey, couldn't you?
What do you want a turkey for? You've been eating at the automat every Christmas for the last 7 years.
It's not for me.
Well, then who's the bird for?
Bobby Cratchit, you know, the young guy that works for me.
Oh, yeah? How much you gonna charge him?
Yeah, here's $20, huh? Here's the address, and listen, don't tell Cratchit who sent the things, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Merry Christmas, Barney.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Well, old Scrooge went back to his rooms and took an old blue suit out of the mothballs. He shook it out, put a few creases in it, and went out on the street. The old boy was really with it. Everybody he passed, he greeted them with,
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
He went to church and gave a large donation, and Father McCarthy nearly forgot his sermon. Yes, for the first time in his life, Scrooge was having a Merry Christmas and arrived early at his office. If he could just catch Cratchit coming in late, and he did. Bob was a good 21 minutes late.
Cratchit!
Oh, no.
You're 21 minutes late.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge. I had a big evening.
Oh, you did, huh? You know what I told you if I caught you fancy-footing it in here late again.
Okay, so I'm canned.
You think you got it coming?
I'm too tired to argue. Jobs are tough enough, and I hate to lose this one, but I'm just too tired.
A raise would help, huh?
No, that's the silliest question of the year.
Then you got it. It's in the envelope.
What?
Uh-huh. Maybe after we see how the funds are, we might be able to do something about Tiny Tim.
Well, yeah. I don't get it. A raise? You want to do something about Tim? I don't get it.
Sure you do, Bob. Haven't you heard? It's Christmas. Now go on home, take the day off, take the week off, come back when you feel like it. Merry Christmas.
Mr. Scrooge?
Yeah?
Merry Christmas.
And Scrooge really did it. He was as good as his word, better even. He made it the merriest Christmas ever. And later things got better, and he took care of Tiny Tim. And sure enough, Tim was out on his sled the next Christmas doing belly whoppers with the best of them. Every Christmas thereafter, all along the big street, it was said, if anyone knew how to make Christmas merry, old Ebenezer Scrooge was that one.
And I hope that can really be said about all of us. Just like Tiny Tim said.
God bless us, everyone.
That's it, Tim. God bless us, everyone.
Oh, Rick, that was a wonderful story. Not quite the way Dickens wrote it, but it meant the same thing.
Well, thanks, Helen, dear. I thought you were good as Tiny Tim's mother, too, didn't you, Walt?
I sure did, and that's no humbug.
What in the world was that?
It's Sergeant Otis. He's still playing Marley. Otis! Yeah, Ebenezer? Oh, cut it out, Otis. The play's over. Go on, call officers Riley, Lund, and Miller, all of them. Tell them to leave the punch bowl and come over here. We're going to sing.
Oh, boy, I'll lead off. Jingle bells, jingle bells.
No, Otis. Rick will lead. We can join in later.
Oh, Lieutenant.
Go on, Rick.
Otis, stop breathing down my neck.
I'm just waiting to come in.
Otis.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Snow falling down from heaven, making a mantle of white. Sleigh bells are ringing, wonderful Christmas night.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Not yet, Otis.
Voices that sing Hosanna, bathed in a heavenly light. Everyone happy, wonderful Christmas night. Otis, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Otis, stop crying. Life on earth begins again. Joy in the hearts of children, there in the trees candlelight, all making merry, wonderful Christmas night.
Now, Lieutenant?
No, Otis.
Oh, let him sing, Walt. Come on, everybody.
Oh, boy. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Right here is where all the men and women who make the camels you smoke would like to wish each and every one of you the happiest of holiday seasons.
And right now might also be a good time to remind you that there's still plenty of time to add camels to your Christmas shopping list. Camels by the carton are so easy to give. Camels come in a beautifully decorated holiday package, so handsomely designed that you don't even have to wrap it. Just write your personal greetings on the card that's on the top of every special Camel Christmas carton.
And Camels are such a pleasure to receive. It's the cigarette enjoyed most in America. The cigarette that leads all other brands in popularity by billions of cigarettes per year.
So you can't go wrong by giving mild, flavorful Camels.
How mild, how mild, how mild, how mild, how mild can a cigarette be? Smoke Camels and see.
Here's Dick Powell with another special message.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, every week the makers of Camels send thousands of packs of Camels to service hospitals. That's to help show hospitalized men and women of the armed forces that those at home haven't forgotten them. This week's free Camels go to Veterans Hospitals, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and Amarillo, Texas. Nellis Air Force Hospital, Las Vegas, Nevada. U.S. Naval Hospital, Naval Medical Center, Guam, Marianas Islands. Now, until next week, enjoy Camels. I always do.
Dick Powell can now be seen starring in the Universal International film You Never Can Tell. Tonight's transcribed adventure of Richard Diamond was written by Blake Edwards with music by Frank Worth. Our director was Nat Wolfe. Virginia Gregg played the part of Helen Asher, and Alan Reed was Lieutenant Levinson. Others in the cast were Barney Phillips, Arthur Q. Bryan, Jack Crucian, Joel Samuels, and Jeffrey Silver.
Are there pipe smokers on your Christmas list? There's still time to make them a present of pipeful after pipeful of the National Joy Smoke, Prince Albert. The Prince Albert 1-pound tin comes in a special Christmas box ready to give. There's a space right on it for your personal greeting. Give Prince Albert.
The bite is out and the pleasure's in when you smoke Prince Albert. It's specially treated not to bite your tongue. The bite is out and the pleasure's in.
Listen next week for another exciting adventure of Richard Diamond, starring Dick Powell. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. This is the American Broadcasting Company.
The Equitable Life Assurance Society presents This is Your FBI. This is Your FBI, the official broadcast from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Presented transcribed as a public service by the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community. AHO. AHO. If you contemplate placing a mortgage on your home, it will pay you to remember those letters. They stand for the Assured Home Ownership Plan of the Equitable Life Assurance Society. A money-saving, home-saving plan designed to speed the day when you can say,
"No mortgage on my house. I own it free and clear."
If that appeals to you, please listen carefully in about 13 minutes for full information on the Equitable AHO plan. Tonight, the subject of our FBI file, Armed Robbery. Its title, The Innocent Santa Claus.
Nearly all criminals are emotionally childish, undependable, and unscrupulous. Some, like the characters you'll meet in tonight's dramatization from FBI Files, are more vicious than others. But make no mistake about it, the dashing and charming Robin Hood types are few and far between. Criminals taint with unhappiness the lives of all those with whom they come in contact. The little niceties of life, the decent, courteous kindnesses, the Christmas spirit itself that make up normal people's lives are completely foreign to the vast majority of them. Whatever they do is for themselves alone. One of your FBI's major purposes in bringing you these programs is to present the underworld as it really is, without glamour, without sentimentality. Tonight's FBI file opens in a cheap hotel room in the downtown district of a large eastern city. A 12-year-old girl is alone in the room. She walks to a full-length mirror on the wall and sings a song. When she finishes, she bows to the mirror.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind applause. That was a great act, but we've got a long show. So let's meet a star who needs no introduction.
Wait a minute,
Daddy! I didn't hear you come in.
Honey, you ought to know better than to try to bring on a star that way.
Oh, but I was just trying to have
what theater were you playing?
the one I'm named after.
All right. You're on the stage at the Roxy. A sensational flash act has just finished.
Mm-hmm.
Now your star's on next. So you want to give her a build, huh?
But, Daddy, you always say, and now a star who needs no introduction.
I know I do. But then I introduce them.
Oh.
And I tell a couple of jokes. Like, as I was coming in the stage door tonight, a bum came up and asked me for $2 for a cup of coffee. And I said, $2 for a cup of coffee? Why, you can get one for a nickel. And he shrugged his shoulder and says, well, can I help it if I'm a big tipper? Now you got the audience going, see? So you slug them again.
Mm-hmm.
You say, that bum is sure crazy. I met him yesterday, too, and he asked me for $8 for a piece of pie. And I said, $8 for a piece of pie? Why, man, you can get one for a dime. And he shrugged and says, mister, do I tell you where to eat? Now they're warmed up, see? And you bring on your star. You get it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, say, anybody call me?
Oh, Pete Morrow.
Pete Morrow, what do you want?
I don't know. I got the message at the desk.
Hey, maybe he's got some action.
Gee, Daddy, you think so?
Well, he's my agent, ain't he? He wouldn't call to find out how I was. Hey, maybe they need some next-to-closing insurance at the palace. Can be anything.
Wow-wee!
Well, come on, hit me with a good luck kiss and I'll go see him. Hi, Pete. Say, sorry to keep you waiting.
Yeah, hello, Fred.
I just got your message, and let me tell you, brother, I am ready. I got 2 new routines, and I got a kid writing me a parody on Melancholy Baby. Wait till I give you the opening. I come out in a broken-down suit, see?
Hey, Fred, I didn't call you for a theater job.
Oh, well, that's okay. I do just as good in nightclubs. I'll just move the song up.
Wait a minute, Fred. This ain't a nightclub job either. A guy uptown called me this morning, and he's having a Christmas party for some kids at his house tonight. He wants a guy to play Santa Claus.
And you called me for that?
That's it.
Now, look, Pete. I know vaudeville's dead, but there's still a lot of places where I can...
There's $25 in it.
Well, look, I give my dresser more than that.
Fred, look, I better level with you. Vaudeville ain't dead, but you are. I couldn't book you in a charity bazaar.
You couldn't book Abraham Lincoln at a patriotic rally.
You want the job or not?
No.
Okay, then I'll get somebody
Well,
else.
go ahead.
Oh, Fred. By the way, how's your kid these days?
Great.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. She eating good?
Well, sure. I gotta cut her down. She's getting a little heavy. Well, she's even...
Yeah? Even what?
Okay. I'll do it.
Your Santa Claus outfit's right there in that box. A car will pick you up in front of your hotel at 7. Now, you be ready.
Daddy, how'd you make out?
Wait till I get rid of this box. Oh. Now I'll take that hug.
Oh, Daddy, what happened?
Well, Pete Mara told me Oscar Hammerstein says he positively can't do his next show without me. And so that put Pete in the spot.
Why?
Well, Max Gordon's got a script. And he told Pete if I don't do it, he'll never hire another actor from him. And...
Oh, the spaghetti!
Oh.
Ouch!
Did you burn yourself?
I'm sorry. I didn't keep watching and the water all boiled out and the spaghetti's ruined.
So what?
That was our last can.
Look, you're going down to the grill and eat steak.
But they said at the desk, no more signing.
I'm paying them cash. Now, go ahead. Go.
Aren't you eating with me?
No, honey.
Where are you going?
Well, you see, Oscar Hammerstein is crazy to have me in the show he's doing, but the Angels don't know me. So Oscar asked me if I'd do him a favor and audition.
Oh.
Well, you never saw a guy so sorry in your life asking me to audition. But I told him I don't mind. I knew the spot he's in.
Can I go?
Oh, no. Not tonight, honey. Now hit me with a good luck kiss and run down and have your dinner. That's it. Now, go ahead.
But, Daddy, I always thought when they did a show, they hired the actors before they bought the costumes.
Well, they do.
Then how come Mr. Hammerstein had your costume already?
What?
On that box it says Santa Claus costume, size 42.
Oh, that. Well, you see, after the audition, I'm going to play a benefit.
Daddy?
Okay. I never could con you. You want to know what a big star your old man is? I'm playing Santa Claus at a kid's party uptown.
You're playing Santa Claus?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Daddy, that's great. Santa Claus is the biggest star in town right now. Who's bigger?
Well,
Hope, Crosby, the Lone Ranger? They're nothing at Christmas time. Santa Claus and his reindeer are headliners.
Maybe you're right.
Of course I am. It's perfect casting. They finally got a star playing a star's part. Don't you understand?
Yeah, I understand. Thanks, honey. Hey, you waiting for me?
You Fred Harper?
Yeah.
All right, get in.
Okay. Hey, who's throwing this party?
Mr. Caldwell.
You his chauffeur?
Uh-huh.
See, look, I never worked a thing like this before. You mind if I try a couple of gags on you?
Go ahead.
Well, I figure I'll walk out and say, I know Santa Claus is supposed to come in through the door, but them chimney sweeps have got a real strong union. Nothing, huh? Yeah, maybe it's a little too fast. How about this? I'd have been here sooner except for one of my reindeer. He showed up late because he went to the movies. It seems he wanted to see the picture because he read the book. Say, pal, was your mother frightened by Ned Sparks? You know, it ain't against the law to laugh in this city.
Uh-huh.
What are we doing down here by the river?
You, see that sign?
Which one? No!
The following day, on a street corner near the local FBI field office, Special Agent Jim Taylor meets Police Detective Mike Wolf.
Hey, Mike. Oh, hello, Jim. I just coming up to see you.
Oh, what about?
A jewel theft last night.
Where?
Uptown. The home of some people named Caldwell.
Huh? What's our jurisdiction?
Interstate transportation. These Caldwells live in a big house on the Heights just off the approach to the Huntington Bridge. You know where the Cloverleaf turn begins.
Yeah.
Well, they were having a Christmas party last night for their children and some neighborhood kids. Mr. Caldwell went all out and hired an actor to play Santa Claus. Santa Claus stuck up the place.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Tied up the children, the Caldwells, and their help, and then he emptied Mrs. Caldwell's jewel case.
Hold it, Mike. The light's against it. How much did Santa grab at the party?
About $15,000 worth of jewelry and $300 in cash.
Oh, that's quite a haul.
After he left, one of the parents wiggled over to a window and saw him drive across the bridge.
How'd they know it was a thief's car?
Oh, it had a broken taillight, so they could follow it all the way. The alarm's already gone out on the car.
Come on, go on. Mike, any prints found around the place?
I haven't been up there yet, but I doubt we'll come across any. Part of the Santa Claus outfit was a pair of rubber gloves.
Oh, I see.
Now, we won't need the prints for identification, though. We know who Santa Claus was.
How?
Mr. Caldwell told me he was hired through a theatrical agent named Pete Morrow. I contacted Morrow and learned that he sent an actor named Fred Harper.
Find out where he lives?
Yeah, the hotel vending. I called there, but his room didn't answer.
You interviewed the victims yet?
No, I was going to do that now.
Okay. I'll go over to Harper's hotel.
What do you want, Mac?
Hello there. I'm Special Agent Taylor of the FBI. Here are my credentials.
What can I do for you?
Will you please ring Mr. Fred Harper's room?
He's not in. His little girl's been looking for him, too. Seems he didn't get home last night.
Oh, you know Harper?
Very well. I was once his straight man. Is he in trouble?
Yes, he seems to be.
Mr. Perry, have you heard from my daddy yet?
No, I haven't, Roxy. Mr. Taylor, this is Harper's daughter, Roxy. Mr. Taylor's from the FBI.
Hello there.
Do you know where my daddy is?
Well, no, I don't.
Can you help me find him? I mean, please.
We'll do our best, Roxy. Did you see your father last night?
Yes, sir. He was going to play a party as Santa Claus.
Were you here when he left?
Yes, a man called for him.
You see this man?
Only from the window. He was in a big car. Daddy got in and went with him.
What kind of a car was it?
I don't know.
Or was it a sedan, a convertible?
A sedan.
What color?
I couldn't tell. But I do remember one thing. One of the lights in back was broken.
Oh?
Mr. Taylor, why are you asking me all these questions?
Well, Roxy, somebody came to that party wearing a Santa Claus outfit and held up the people.
A real hold-up? With a gun?
That's right.
Not Daddy. He couldn't do anything like that. He's not a crook.
Mr. Taylor, phone call for you.
Oh, thanks.
Please believe me, Mr. Taylor.
I'll be right back, Roxy.
You can take it on that phone.
Fine, thanks. Hello.
Hey, Jim. This is Mike Wolf.
Yeah, Mike.
Fred Harper's been picked up.
Oh, where?
Near the approach to the Huntington Bridge. And 2 of the stolen pieces of jewelry were found in his pocket.
We will return in just a minute to tonight's exciting case from the official file, which shows how your FBI helps promote America's security. And now, listen to the most important security letters in the lives of thousands of homeowners. A-H-O.
A is for assured.
H is for home.
O is for ownership.
The Assured Home Ownership Plan of the Equitable Society. It's America's finest plan of home ownership because it gives 4 special benefits not always found in other mortgage plans.
First benefit. An Equitable AHO plan gives you a way to pay off your mortgage years ahead of time.
That's right. One of the big objectives of this Equitable Society plan is to speed the day when you can proudly say,
"No mortgage on our house. We own it. Free and clear."
Here's why this can happen so fast. Every Equitable AHO plan combines a low-cost first mortgage with life insurance protection. One monthly payment takes care of both. Thanks to the insurance element, a constantly growing cash loan fund is created. Year by year, the mortgage grows smaller and the cash loan fund larger, until it actually is big enough to pay off what's left of the mortgage. This explains how hundreds of AHO families pay off their 20-year mortgages in about 14 years. That's 6 years ahead of schedule.
Second benefit of an Equitable Assured Home Ownership plan. If the owner dies, his widow doesn't inherit a mortgage. She inherits the home, free and clear.
And what's more, the Equitable Society not only cancels the mortgage, but also returns to the widow every cent her husband had paid to reduce the principal.
Lastly, This plan is a money saver at all times. The mortgage draws interest at only 4%.
So, for many reasons, a man may consider himself lucky if his health, age, income, and the location of his home enable him to qualify for an equitable, assured home ownership plan. For full information, see your Equitable Society representative or write care of this station to the Equitable Life Assurance Society. Remember, the sooner you start an equitable, assured home ownership plan, the sooner you'll be able to say,
No mortgage on our home. We own it. Free and clear.
And now back to the FBI file, The Innocent Santa Claus.
We referred previously to the selfishness and callousness of the criminal mind. During the Christmas season, when the vast majority of us are in a genial, relaxed mood, the underworld does not hesitate even at this season to strike often and hard. There's no off-season in crime. Being off guard is not safe at any time. The men of your FBI are convinced that it is high time to stop romanticizing gangsters and hoodlums. FBI agents who come in contact with the underworld daily know it for what it is. Ruthless around the calendar, with no days off for good behavior. Tonight's FBI file continues in the hospital ward at the city jail. Special Agent Jim Taylor is interviewing Fred Harper.
Mr. Harper, you insist that Mr. Caldwell's chauffeur knocked you out last night?
Don't these lumps on my noggin prove it?
But Mr. Caldwell says he has no chauffeur and never sent a car for you.
Well, whoever the guy was, he belted me out.
And that's all you can tell me.
Mr. Taylor, do I look like a guy who'd stick up a kid's party?
Well, unfortunately, looks don't mean a thing.
But I've never been picked up even for jaywalking. The only record I got is in the back issues of Variety.
Are you sure you can't remember anything about this man?
Well, he's a tough audience.
What do you mean?
I told him 2 jokes. Both boffs. He never even cracked a smile. Look, my agent can prove they sent a car for me. Pete Morrow in the Central Building.
Yes, I know. Detective Wolf spoke to him. He claims he gave you the Santa Claus outfit and Caldwell's address, and you were supposed to get there by yourself.
Well, he's a liar.
Well, his word is better than yours right now.
Why?
He didn't turn up with any of the stolen jewelry on him.
But I'm being framed.
No, you're not. This case won't be closed till we find the rest of that jewelry.
Albert, don't hold out on me.
I ain't.
Is this all the stuff you grabbed last night?
Except for the 2 hunks I stuck in Harper's pocket.
Well, the papers made it a much bigger job.
Oh, the papers. They got Illinois as a 7-point favorite in the Rose Bowl. Can you bet them?
Not me, no.
Well, the same with stick-ups. I once heisted a joint, got 200 clams. Papers come out and say I grabbed 8,000. This is the age we live in, kid. Now, you're going to get the fence this, huh?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that.
Well, why not?
Well, because the next time we do a job, you might take the loot straight to him.
Well, I wouldn't do that.
Well, let's leave it this way. You don't mind, do you?
I suppose I do.
Well, it won't make any difference.
All right, then I don't mind.
Fine. You call me tomorrow, and I'll tell you how much we're cutting up.
Oh, Daddy.
Oh, hi, honey.
I got so scared last night when you didn't come home.
Well, keep being scared. We're still in a jackpot.
Mr. Taylor told me he was coming to see you. Didn't you tell him you had nothing to do with it?
Mm-hmm. But I'm still here.
Oh, they'll let you go.
Oh, sure. When they take this turban off my noggin, they'll move me down to a regular cell downstairs. Great guy you got for an old man.
I know you didn't steal anything.
Thanks, honey. Oh, hand me that bottle of pills. My head starts coming off if I get up.
Here.
And a little water, honey. Thanks.
What kind of pills are those?
I don't know. Well, here goes. Oh, they taste like chopped up theater tickets. Nothing, huh?
I just don't feel like laughing. Daddy, will you be out Friday?
I doubt it. Why?
I promised my teacher.
Promised her what?
Well, the school Christmas play is Friday. I told her you'd be there.
Well, that's fine. But I'm such a hit here, I think they'll hold me over.
But I told my teacher what a sensational Santa Claus you do. Daddy, we've got to figure some way to get you out by Friday.
Well, if you got an idea, cut me in for half.
Isn't there anything we can do?
Sure. Just keep hoping, honey.
Mike, I got a report from our lab on that jewelry.
Oh, what's the word, Jim?
They found a single latent fingerprint on one of the bracelets.
We've got Fred Harper's prints right here.
Oh, wait, I've already checked. It's not one of his.
Well, that doesn't prove he's innocent.
I can't help feeling he is, though.
You believe the story about the mysterious stranger posing as Caldwell's chauffeur?
Yeah, I do. Harper's little girl told me about the taillight on that car being broken. There's no way she could have known that if she wasn't telling the truth.
Yeah, pardon me.
Sure, Mike.
Wolf speaking.
This is Captain Gordon, State Police. We've got that car you set out the alarm on.
Where?
One of my men just found it where Highway 81 hits the turnpike. I'll see that nobody touches it.
Thanks, Captain. Come on, Jim. Car's been found.
Yeah, that's the car, all right, Mike.
Mm-hmm. There's the broken taillight.
Now, let's see what's inside it. Mike, look here on the back seat.
Huh?
Santa Claus outfit. The pants, shirt, hood. There's the whiskers on the floor.
Any labels?
I'll take a look. Yeah. Yale Costume Company, but that's no help. Harper's agent admits running this suit.
Well, suppose we go through the trunk.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll look up front first, Mike.
Right. Police went over everything in the car for prints. It was clean.
Yeah, let's take a look in here. Well, these glove compartments are like the clocks. They never work. There's road maps, instruction books, baseball scorecard. Mike, rubber gloves. Let's head back to town and get these to the lab.
Hello, Pete.
Well, Fred, how come they let you out?
Mr. Taylor here can tell you.
Oh, Taylor?
Yes, I'm a special agent of the FBI. I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Sure, anything. Sit down.
Thanks. Now, Mr. Morrow, you told Detective Wolf you made no arrangements to have Harper picked up the other night.
That's right.
We found that car yesterday.
The one he used in the stick-up?
Well, the one that was used, but not by Harper. We also found the gloves that were part of the hold-up man's costume.
Oh, so?
So our laboratory got a full set of prints off the inside of those gloves. One of them matches a print we got from a piece of jewelry we found in Harper's pocket.
Well, what's that all got to do with me?
Well, the prints belong to somebody named Al Bedford.
Huh? Who?
Mr. Taylor, I told you what to expect. This guy wouldn't give you the right time in Elgin, Illinois.
Mr. Morrow, you know Al Bedford.
Well, is he an actor?
He's a professional criminal.
Well, then how would I know him?
His record shows you once gave him a character reference when he put in for a parole.
What's his name? Al what?
Al Bedford.
You better be nice to him, Pete. Maybe he'll give you the job booking talent on those prison shows.
Say, I don't know what either one of you guys are talking about.
Oh, hi, Mike.
We caught Al Bedford. I just got a full confession from him. Mr. Morrow here was his partner.
That's a lie.
Hey, Mr. Taylor. That clears me now, huh?
Yes, it does.
Then I'd better call my kid and find out if there's still time to do that Santa Claus bit.
All right. Mike here can drop Morrow off at the city jail. I'll go with you.
The auditorium's down this way, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, it's a pretty big school.
Mm-hmm. Got the biggest stage of any school in town. That's why Roxy goes here.
No.
I think she's majoring in proscenium arches. What time you got?
It's 4:15.
Hope we're not late. Hey, you want in on a secret?
What?
I'm scared.
Scared of what?
Walking out on that stage in front of 2,000 kids.
Oh, you've been on plenty of stages.
Yeah, but what do you do with Santa Claus? You can't get hokey. You gotta play him straight. Oh, I guess this is the stage door. I saw 4 kids walk in here wearing halos. Oh, they started.
Yeah.
Guess they got tired waiting. Can't blame them.
You see a little girl around in here?
No. Look.
And what?
It's the old man in the Santa Claus costume over there. No. Come on.
Hey, where you going?
I've been canceled.
Daddy! Daddy!
Honey.
You made it, Daddy, you made it!
Yeah, look, honey. Mr. Taylor and I are going out front now and catch the show.
Out front?
Well, we don't want to hang around backstage here and get in everybody's way.
But you're Santa Claus. We can't do the show without you.
Now, baby, don't let me down easy. There's Sam Whiskers sitting over there on that trunk.
Oh, that's the janitor. He was standing in for you till you got here.
Well, why don't you let him do it?
He's got no Santa Claus material. Daddy, you promised me.
Yeah, but suppose I lay an egg.
You? Oh, Daddy, you're teasing me.
Okay, I'll do it.
I think I'll go out front to watch this.
All right, and thanks again, Mr. Taylor.
You're very welcome.
And Merry Christmas.
And the same to both of you.
Oh, let's make it bigger. Let's make it Merry Christmas to everybody.
And heaven and nature sing, and heaven.
And now we bring you a message from the book of Luke in the New Testament. A message shared with you by FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, every special agent and employee of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. A message also shared with you by every officer and employee of the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States. A message which comes, too, from those who bring you this weekly program. A message written in simple words. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
The incidents used in tonight's Equitable Life Assurance Society's broadcast are adapted from the files of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. However, all names used are fictitious, and any similarity thereof to the names of places or persons, living or dead, is accidental. Tonight, the music was composed and conducted by Frederick Steiner. The author was Jerry D. Lewis. Your narrator was William Woodson, and Special Agent Taylor was played by Stacey Harris. Others in the cast were Anthony Barrett, Walter Catlett, J.C. Flippin, Tony Hughes, Bill Johnstone, and Ann Whitfield. This Is Your FBI is a Jerry Devine production. This is Larry Keating wishing you a Merry, Merry Christmas from the Equitable Life Assurance Society of the United States and the Equitable Society's representative in your community, and inviting you to tune in again next week at this same time to This Is Your FBI.
It was the week before Christmas, and all through the house, a creature was stirring. And boy, what a rat. This is another in the adventures of America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar, starring Charles Russell. At Insurance Investigation, Johnny Dollar is only an expert. At making out his expense account, he's an absolute genius. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, Industrial Insurers Incorporated, Hartford, Connecticut. Attention, Mr. Eben Stevens, General Manager. The following is an accounting of my expenditures during investigation of small-time swindles of big-time department stores. Or how I played Santa Claus and almost got left holding the sack. Or going for a sleigh ride without benefit of snow can be tough sledding. Expense account, item 1. $1. Tip to messenger who delivered this assignment in writing by hand to my apartment. Thanks, Mr. Dollar. You have never been known as a fast man with a buck, Mr. Stevens, and I must say your note to me also marked you in my mind as an economist with words.
Dear Dollar, our client, the Association of Department Stores of Greater Manhattan, has requested help on the following problem. A young man has been making the rounds of New York department stores during the current Christmas rush. Using his equipment and official-looking sales book, he goes to a business department, makes a quick sale on some large item, writes it up in his furious sales book, takes the customer's cash, and disappears. Enclosed find varying descriptions as furnished by victims to date, and check for your usual retainer fee. Please put a stop to this nefarious practice at once. Signed, Eben Stevens, General Manager.
Expense account, item 2. $6.21. Train fare, Hartford to New York. Next morning at 7:03 on the Banker's Special. A train very cleverly named that because 75% of its load is made up of bankers. I sat among them in a parlor car, watching them limbering up for the day's chores, slowly shaking their heads from side to side and softly whispering, "No." We arrived at Grand Central at 9:20. The bankers got off and headed for their granite vaults. I got off and headed to face my stone wall. Expense account, item 3. 4 bits, cab fare to offices of the Association of Department Stores of Greater Manhattan. There, things got brighter right away. Her name was Judy Whitehall. Boy, how she'd been missed by the scouts for the Copacabana, I'll never know.
I have been assigned to help you all I can, Mr. Dollar. What would you like to know first?
Your home phone number. Oh, well, maybe we better wait until later for that. How many stores are there in your association, Miss Whitehall?
We have 120 member stores, Mr. Dollar.
Great. You know, in one department store, I'm the kind of a guy that can't find a glove department. And now I've got 120 stores in which to find someone I don't even know.
Well, we do have the man's description.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we have a lot of descriptions, all slightly different.
And the regular store detectives are all on the lookout.
Like looking for a noodle in a spaghetti sack.
And all the sales personnel have been warned.
It's beautiful.
What's beautiful?
Your face.
Well, really, Mr. Dollar.
Hmm?
After all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I know. Business. Well, before I start, maybe you'd better give me a letter of identification. If I spend all day moseying around department stores without buying anything, I can stand a good chance of getting picked up as a shoplifter.
Right away. Follow me.
All right.
Oh, just a minute. Hello, this is Miss Whitehall. Oh, yes, Mrs. Sandler. Oh, my, that's terrible. My goodness, that's awful. Good gracious, that's worse. Well, the insurance investigator is here right now, Mr. Sandler. We'll be right over.
What's so terrible?
Well, that man, the one we're looking for, he was in the Miller's store making a phony sale in the camera department.
Oh, you also said it was awful.
It was. A little girl picked up a camera and snapped his picture, and the man tried to take it away from her, and the girl yelled, and then her mother screamed.
And what made it worse?
Well, a store detective came running, and the man shot him. Then he grabbed the little girl, camera and all, and ran off. They called the police.
Really? I can't imagine why. The mob scene in the Miller store would have made the Notre Dame backfield holler uncle. Christmas neckties were selling like hotcakes. Only compared to most of the ties, a hotcake would look better on you. The camera department was on the mezzanine, and the store manager, Mr. Santa, was on a rampage.
Why doesn't somebody do something? Why can't they find him? I've got men posted on every door. He's in this store somewhere, and... Oh, Miss Whitehall, it's about time. Who's this?
Oh, this is Mr. Dollar, Mr. Sandler, from the insurance company.
Well, I don't know what you can do, Dollar. I've already got 20 policemen running all over the store. It's absolutely ridiculous, preposterous, and fantastic. That's what it is.
Also amazing. Now, tell me, Mr. Santa, about that little girl who picked up the camera and snapped the culprit's picture. Did they find her yet?
They certainly did, in the rug department. She'd been shoved in the middle of a pile of 9 by 12 Orientals on sale at $123.50. She was scared, but not hurt.
And the girl was found without the camera, I suppose.
Naturally, but the camera wouldn't do us any good. After all, I'm sure the camera didn't have any film in it. They never do when on display.
Well, how about the store detective, the one who got shot?
In the hospital, Miss Hall. They'll call me here as soon as they find out how badly he's been hurt.
Well, look, getting back to that kid. Was she able to give you a good description of the guy who grabbed her?
She hasn't stopped crying long enough.
Well, how about her mother?
Neither is she.
Where are they now?
They're in my office. That's why I'm staying right here.
Where is your office?
On the 8th floor, right next to the credit office.
Well, this may be the first time I ever got past the credit office. Come on, Judy.
Oh, Bobby, come on. Blow your nose. There. Now be a brave little girl.
I don't want to. He hit me. He tried to kill me. He took away my camera.
Let me have another try, Mrs. Jenkins.
All right, Mr. Dollar, if you think it'll do any good.
All right. Oh, come on now, Bobby. All you have to do is tell us what that bad man looked like. We'll get him, and then we'll fix him. Come on now, huh?
I don't want to. He'll kill me.
I'm beginning to think he's got a point. Okay, Bobby. Okay. Just a minute now. Oh, Judy. Here.
Yes, Johnny?
Looks like it's a child psychologist. I'm nothing. At this point, I feel like telling little Bobby to go out and play with some old razor blades. Got any suggestions?
Well, it is almost Christmas.
Yeah.
And one thing little girls don't want to do at Christmas is getting wrong with Santa Claus.
Ah, gotcha. Good gal. Where do we find Santa Claus?
In the toy department on the 5th floor.
Well, give me about 5 minutes to explain things to Santa, and then bring Bobby down.
All right.
Oh, Bobby!
What?
Do you know what happens to little girls who make Santa Claus mad at them?
Yes.
What happens?
They don't get to look at television before they go to bed.
I mean, at Christmas, what happens?
They don't get any toys. All they get is old sweaters and underwear.
Well, listen, Bobby. This guy Santa happens to be a good friend of mine. What do you think of that?
Tell him I want an air rifle.
You would. Okay. I'll even fix it so you can tell him yourself. How's that?
Just fine.
Ah, good girl. Hey, where'd you get that blood on your coat? You got a cut?
No, sir. That's from that bad man. I bit him on the hand.
Okay, Judy. Here I go. Oh, and on the way down, maybe you better stop by the dog supply department and buy little Bobby a muzzle. If the kid doesn't like his looks, old St. Nick may get nicked. Department stores should have some kind of a congressional medal for salespeople who work in the toy department just before Christmas. I took the elevator down to 5, and when that door slid open...
Toy department. Let him out, please.
It was like stepping into Dante's Inferno, junior grade. First, I got on a house phone and called Santa, who was still in the camera department. He'd had word from the hospital. The store detective had died without regaining consciousness. I was no longer trying to catch a cheap swindler. I was now out to swap blood with a dirty murderer. A line of fidgety kids led me to Santa Claus, sitting benignly on his throne. I had a short talk with him, and a short wait for Judy and little Bobby. Okay, Santa. Now we've got to make her talk. That is, you've got to.
All right, Dollar. All right now, kiddies, you'll have to wait for a moment. We have a special little visitor coming to see me.
Hello, Johnny. All set?
Yeah, all set. Okay, Bobby, my girl. Now just let me give you a hoist up into Santa's lap. He wants to ask you a few questions.
I want an air rifle.
Now, you be a good little girl and answer all Santa's nice questions, and you'll get it. But not where I'd like to give it to you. Now, up you go.
Yes. Well, there we are, honey. Now, tell me, what do you want for Christmas?
I want an air rifle.
Well, we'll see what we can do about that. Tell me, have you been a good little girl?
Yes, sir.
Well, first we'll just have to look up your name in my little black book and make sure. Pretty good. All but one little thing.
What'd I do? I didn't do nothing.
Well, that's just it. You see, Bobby, I have a note here that today some people asked you what a certain man looked like and you wouldn't tell them. Is that right?
I'm afraid. I don't want to tell. They can't make me.
Well, Bobby, maybe you and I had better talk this over. If you won't do something for us, how do you expect it will happen?
Little Bobby's description of the murderer wasn't the greatest by any means, but it was better than none at all, with which we had been furnished by the personnel in the camera department and the kid's mother. We took the girl to the advertising department, where an artist made a sketch. Armed with a drawing, we made a tour of the store exits, showing it to the police posted on every door, giving them a rough idea what to look for. A medium-build, pudgy man with black hair. And when they came across such a character, he was to be issued an invitation to show his hands. If he was sporting Bobby's teeth marks, then they'd really know. Well, this chore out of the way, Miss Whitehall and I sank our teeth in a pair of sandwiches in the tea room. The Shopper's Delight sandwich, to be exact. Cream cheese, walnuts, watercress, and pineapple on whole wheat bread. Mmm. We found the store manager, Sandler, back in his office. He, too, was eating, but he was on a diet of straight fingernails.
Oh, terrible, terrible, terrible. That's what it is.
Now, don't worry, Mr. Sandler. He'll be caught. As a swindler, he might have gone on for years. But as a murderer, it won't be long, believe me.
Oh, what to do, what to do, what to do?
Well, I've got several ideas. And the first is to get out of your office and start at the top of the store and work my way down.
They're already doing that, and not a sign of him.
Well, I once found a mouse in a hayloft, so be not disencouraged. And a pretty little mouse she was.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Oh, please, try to relax, Mr. Sandler. Everybody's doing their best.
Yes, I'm sure they are. It's just that I... Oh. Hello? Yes, it's Mr. Sandler. Oh, no. Where? How long has he been there? Hello? I'll be right down.
What's the matter now?
About an hour and a half ago, our store Santa Claus stepped out into the employees' restroom for a smoke. He was slugged from behind. When he came to, he was all tied up in a broom closet, and somebody has stolen his Santa Claus suit. They just found him.
About an hour and a half ago. Judy, you know what that means?
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. 45 minutes ago, when little Bobby was giving Santa Claus the murderer's description, he was giving it to the murderer himself.
Oh, good gracious.
Instead of a kid's air rifle, it could have gotten us a revolver, size 38.
In just a moment, we will return to the second act of Johnny Dollar. But first, CBS is going to bring you one of the biggest presents you ever received from show business tomorrow afternoon, Christmas Day. For a full hour on the entire CBS network, you're going to get all the comedy, all the laughs, and one of the greatest Broadway and Hollywood hits of recent years, The Man Who Came to Dinner. And The Man Who Came will be played by none other than Jack Benny, plus Charles Boyer, Gene Kelly, Dorothy McGuire, Gregory Peck, and Rosalind Russell, plus Henry Fonda and John Garfield as narrators. You'll hear them all on CBS's special holiday hour tomorrow afternoon. Jack Benny, playing the man who came to dinner and breaking a leg, had to stay on and on and on. Now with our star, Charles Russell, we return to the second act of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
There's no place like a crowded department store for a fresh-made murderer to be on the loose, especially one that's playing Santa Claus for a lot of rosy-cheeked little nippers. I headed back to the toy department, but when I got there, the cupboard was bare. Our lethal St. Nick had decided to give up his red flannel and white whisker hiding place. We found the empty suit in the storeroom, tossed high on a stack of baby buggies.
Oh, Johnny, this is terrible. That man's a murderer. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? Now, listen, Judy. By now, there must be 87 cops sifting through this store looking for that guy. They've got 2 cops on every door. Now, all I'm going to do is help them look. This is one of those everybody's problems.
You're right. I guess I'm just getting excited.
Well, that you have a right to do. Come on, let's get out of here. I've got an idea.
All right, Johnny,
Oh, Mr. Dollar, thank goodness I found you. Mr. Sandler wants you right away, down on 3. An old lady has just been shot in Junior Mrs. Lingerie.
Serves her right for not acting her age. Let's go, Judy.
Right over here, Dollar.
All right.
Let him through, please. Let him... Lady, please stand back now. Well, Dollar,
Yeah?
congratulations. Before, this store was only going to sue that company of yours for $1 million. Considering what this shooting will do to our reputation, I'm going to make that $5 million.
Mr. Sandler, keep your powder dry. First of all, it's not my company. And second, you can't sue them for something they didn't do. And third, you'd better get this poor old gal to a hospital. How badly is she hurt? And how did it happen?
The doctor's on his way, and we've sent for an ambulance. This woman was lost out on the back stairway looking for the ladies' room. That maniac saw her coming toward him and ran down the stairs, firing over his shoulder. The bullet just seemed to graze her left side.
Pretty lucky. Where are the police?
They're searching all over the store. Dollar, what are we going to do? This is terrible for business.
Well, I suspect that any minute now, the cops will be telling you to do something that's going to be even worse for business. Close the store.
Well, but close the store? Why, we're staying open late tonight. It's the last-minute rush.
I'm just telling you what I think. I think the cops will double the lookouts on all the doors and make you close the store. Then they can go to work.
We lose thousands of dollars. They can't make me close the store.
You stay open, you might lose a few more customers. The hard way. Where's that doctor?
He'll be here any minute.
Oh, Mr. Sam.
Yes, what is it?
Well, they called up from the sporting goods in the basement. That man has been down there and held them up. And he took 4 guns and 6 boxes of ammunition.
6 boxes of... Oh, my... Oh, what's this going to do to our store?
If you're not careful, it's going to turn your store into the world's largest shooting gallery with live targets. You know what I suggest, Mr. Sandler?
What? Tell me what?
Don't wait for the police to tell you. Close the store. Sandler didn't like it, and neither did the customers, as they filed out of the store past the scrutiny of the police officers, still clutching their unfinished Christmas shopping list. The process was slow, and while the customers were leaving, the clerks finished up their business, put the white shrouds over their counters, and they too filed out into the early night. The boys in blue, watching the doors, came up with several men answering the general description of our friend with a loose trigger finger, but none of them had little Bobby's teeth marks on his hands. That made it a 50-50 chance that Mr. Killer was still in the building. There's nothing more eerie than a department store after closing. In its white sheets, the whole joint seemed to be playing ghost. I sent Judy over to a steakhouse, Pietre's, on 3rd Avenue. Told her to wait. Then I had Sandler get me a gun from the sporting goods department. For that lonely, scared feeling, there's no medicine that quite takes the place of a piece of cool steel in your little hot hand. The sergeant, in charge of the police detail, posted men outside all exits. The rest he took up to the roof with him. They were going to run the whole store through their burly blue sieve, floor by floor, counter by counter, inch by inch. Sandler stayed with me down the first floor. Just for fun, I thought I would start working my way up.
Dollar, don't you think we should get out of here and leave this to the police?
Well, I have several goosebumps that agree with you, Mr. Sandler, but I have a very dangerous habit of trying to earn my money.
Oh, this is terrible.
Now, look, every counter and post in this store is just the kind of hiding place a sniper would pray for. I get paid for this kind of work. You don't. Now, why don't you go out for a nice safe walk?
It's my duty to stay here. I'm sticking with you.
Okay. But remember, 2 of us gave him twice as much to shoot at.
Don't it!
I had to go and open my big mouth. Get down. Getting down on that floor could have been committing suicide in itself. The killer's bullet had crashed into a showcase, and a sea of broken glass is a risky place to practice diving. Having to swim out of it was twice as bad, but that's what I had to do.
Oh, Mr. Dollar.
Sandler, keep your head down. Bury your face in that glass, but keep your head down.
Yes, Dollar. Tell me what to do, anything but get me out of here. I have a wife and 3 kids.
Well, if you'll do what I tell you to do, your wife will go on having a husband and your kids will still have a father.
Yes, just tell me.
I don't know exactly where that shot came from, but from the looks of this glass, it must have been from behind us. Now, I'm going to leave you and crawl over near those elevators. While I'm on my way, you rattle around in this glass. Let them hear where you are. Give me about 2 minutes, and then do something to draw his fire.
What can I do?
Do anything but one thing. Don't stand up.
I'll think of something.
You'd better. But don't take any chances.
No. But what are you going to do?
Take some chances. Once I was on my way, Sandler went to work with a vengeance. I could hear him thrashing around in that glass like he was trying to corner the Band-Aid market. I made it over the elevators, scooting flat along the floor till I hit a car with an open door and slithered inside. Behind the protection of the elevator's front wall, I stood up, peered over at the edge of the door, and waited for Santa to make the move that would draw the murderer's fire. I must say Santa was dead game. The way he made his move, he also stood a good chance of becoming plain dead. First, he stopped wiggling around on his bed of glass, and then he just stood straight up. The shot missed, but my eyesight didn't. The killer was shooting from high up, behind a pole. He was standing up on a glass showcase, hoping for a better view. And it didn't take me long to decide to give him a better view of the inside of that glass showcase. I started deliberately shooting his foothold out from under him. He was bleeding beautifully when I started to run, straight for the back of the store, firing as he ran. As one last souvenir, he threw his empty gun over his shoulder at me. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw guns. I decided to join the track team and went on the chase. Back out of the main floor, through the employees' entrance, out to the dimly lit shipping department, and its loading dock filled with packages ready for shipment. I could hear him moving around among them. Okay, get your hands up and come out. I'm giving you a chance, but it's not going to last long. Get moving.
I don't need your chance. I've got something better.
Okay, so you want to play. I think I'll give you a couple of Yuletide presents early, and I'm sure nobody will mind if I open your head before Christmas. My hot-headed friend was hiding behind a high pile of wooden boxes ready for shipping. I grabbed the heavy, empty dolly, gave it a flying start, sent it crashing into the bottom box of the pile. It was beautiful. The biggest crash since 29. It was a tough fight, but, Mom, I don't think I won. At best, it was a draw. About the 15th time I belted him, he belted me right back. Oh. Then he got his hands on a hammer, laid it across the side of my head. Oh. I got the hammer, did the same for him, and made a hole in one. He fell squarely into a man-sized packing case lying at the foot of the packing bench. I was getting weak, dizzy. I had to hold him. One thing to do. Top a case lying right there. All ready. Nails part way in. Put it on right over him. Nail it on. Good. Tight. Good. Tight. Good. Tight. Everything is turning black. Then everything went white. Hey, corny as this may sound, where am I?
You're in the hospital, Johnny, darling. But don't worry. It's only a slight concussion. They brought you here last night.
Oh, I suppose I have a hammer-shaped hole in my head.
No, darling. It hardly shows.
Oh, how could it? These bandages covering it up. Well, at least I got him.
You what, dear?
I got him. The killer.
Oh, no, dear. You couldn't have. They're still looking for him.
Well, oh, no. Oh, my gosh. What time is it?
11 in the morning.
I gotta get out of here.
Why? Johnny, please. Johnny, you're not supposed to get up. Oh, nurse!
If they let him get away after all my trouble, somebody was going to need a doctor. Judy and I hit the department store in 12 minutes flat. 1 minute later, I was in the shipping department talking to the head man.
Now, Mr. Dollar, just calm down. Everything's going to be all right. Now, exactly what is it you want to know?
That big packing case, the one that was lying right here in front of the bench last night. Where is it?
Oh, the great big one?
Yes, the great big one.
The one about 8 feet long and 3 feet wide?
Yes, the one about 8 feet long and 3 feet wide.
Well, there was something very peculiar about that case.
You're telling me. Where is it?
Well, this morning we came to work. The boys saw it all packed up, so they put it on the truck for upper New York State.
Oh, no.
Oh, indeed they did. But what was peculiar about it, even though they found it all ready to go, later on they found all the merchandise that was supposed to go in it lying around loose. It had never really been packed.
Well, then quick. The least you can do is tell me where it went.
Well, now that I can do. That box was the boss's big annual charity shipment of goods. That particular box is on its way to some of the unfortunates who'll be spending this Christmas away from home.
All right, so where is it?
By now, it should be at the New York State Prison, up in Arsening.
Expense account, item 5, $12.80. Dinner check at Pietro's, where I had asked Miss Judy Whitehall to wait for me the night before, and where I inadvertently stood her up. Although how a gal can stand up after eating $12.80 worth of food, more than I can figure out. Let's see. Expense account, item 6, $10. Medical supplies for those poor CBS sound men, Vern Surrey and Billy Gould, who had to break all that glass during the show. Expense account total, $511.50. You may think this amount is a little high, but isn't everybody at this time of the year? Signed, yours, truly, Johnny Dollar.
Stars Charles Russell. Script by Paul Dudley and Gil Dowd. Featured in the cast were Jay Novello, Georgia Ellis, Marlene Ames, Parley Bear, Paul Duboff, and Connie Crowder. The special music is written and conducted by Leith Stevens. Your announcer is Bob Stevenson. Be sure to be with us at the same time next week when another unusual expense account is handed in by
yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Those two pleasant gentlemen of music, Vaughn Monroe and Gene Autry, will be around with special Christmas music tonight on CBS. On his caravan, Vaughn will feature a medley of Christmas carols. And you'll hear the maestro and his band featuring Vaughn's new song success, The Jolly Old Man in the Bright Red Suit. Gene Autry will bring you Christmas music and the Christmas Eve story, Western style. Be sure to hear these two Saturday night CBS stars, Vaughn Monroe and Gene Autry, on most of these same CBS stations. Now stay tuned for Vaughn Monroe's Caravan, which follows on most of these same stations. This is CBS, where yours truly, Johnny Dollar, meets adventure every Saturday night. The Columbia Broadcasting System.
Autolite and its 96,000 dealers present Suspense. Tonight, Autolite brings you Christmas for Carol, a suspense play starring Mr. Dennis Day.
Hey, Hap. Well, hello, Santa. Why, it's Wilcox. Now, what are you doing in that costume, Harlow?
Going to a Christmas party, Hap.
Oh, what's in the sack?
Why, a load of merry motoring. In this box, I've got smoother performance, you see?
Ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs.
Sure, and when you replace worn-out spark plugs with these new Bantam beauties, your car will perform smoother than Santa skidding down a slippery chimney.
And what's in this box, Harlow?
Fast starts, Hap.
Well, these are ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, too.
You bet. And they're unmatched for quick starts because they're designed by the same Autolite engineers
who designed the coil, distributor, and all the other important parts of the complete ignition system for many leading makes of our finest cars. That's why ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs work as a team with your car's ignition system. And that's why they're world famous for quality and dependability.
And I suppose you're giving gas savings in the third box, eh, Harlow?
You guessed it, Hap. So, friends, have your Autolite spark plug dealer replace worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. Choose either the standard or resistor type. And remember, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, with Christmas for Carol and the performance of Dennis Day, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
It was dark and silent. The window in the house glinted a little from the Christmas tree lights. Rocky didn't move. He just stood there in the alley, but I wanted to run. Fast, get away and put it behind me.
Just a second.
We got the money, Rocky. What are we hanging around for? Come on, let's get out of here.
I said we wait for the old couple to get back.
What for? Why take chances now?
We got some money. How do we know it's all of it? Maybe they split it and put it in two places. We'll wait here and watch for them when they come in. They'll tip it.
It was $8,000. That's what he withdrew.
You asked for this, kid. Now do as you're told. We wait.
I couldn't help being scared. This was my first job, my first and last. I just wanted that money. I wanted it fast and short, and I wanted to run away from it and forget it. A one shot. That's why I got hold of Rocky Perea. Lucky. I had to be lucky just this once. For Carol, not for me. It was for Carol. Nothing else I cared about, see? It didn't seem possible now that 3 days ago I hadn't known Rocky, hadn't needed him. What is it, Doctor? How about the baby?
Your wife must remain in bed.
Serious?
No, not serious, but she's got to stay flat on her back. A nurse. You should have a nurse with her all the time.
Oh, but it's 2 months away, Doctor.
It's just a question of keeping her relaxed and quiet, not letting her do any work around the house, lift things, or even walk.
Okay, Doctor, and she'll be all right?
There's one other thing. She was quite worried when I told her about the nurse. I got the feeling she's well afraid to have the baby.
Afraid?
Not for herself. I can't put my finger on it, but it's having a detrimental effect on her condition, and
I know what it is, Doctor. Money.
Oh, I see. Well, it might not be easy finding a nurse. Only 4 days till Christmas.
I'll get one, Doctor. Thanks.
I'll call you this evening.
Yeah. Thanks again, Doctor.
Paul,
Sweetheart, it'll be all right. I'm going to get the nurse to take care of you.
I'll be able to get up and around in a day or two.
Not if you want that, son. The doc said everything will be all right if you take it easy, and you're going to take it easy.
But a nurse...
Look, I've got to get back to the bank. I'm only on my lunch hour, sweetheart. I'll make a few calls from there, and tonight we'll pick out the nurse.
How much do they charge?
What's the difference?
How much, Paul? It's a lot of money, I know.
50, 60 a week. We'll make out all right now. There's nothing to worry about.
Oh, Paul. This was going to be a happy Christmas. Now...
Yeah, a happy Christmas in this dump.
It's funny, Paul. $50 a week for a nurse. For another 2 months. It's funny. You make $48.50 at the bank. We'll have to pay the nurse more money than you earn.
Yeah, more money than I earn. You know how it is being a bank teller? Feeling, seeing, handling money, taking in money, paying it out. When I went back to work, I was seeing it for the first time with something more than a detached feeling. Thinking, I need this money, I need this money, I need this money. How I need this money. For Carol and the baby. It was almost 3 o'clock when Eddie the bookie came in.
Hi, Paul. Good day yesterday. And big action in a few days. Santa Anita opens.
Yeah, people like to throw their money away.
They throw it, I catch it.
Eddie, could I see you later?
You ready to make a deal?
I want to talk to you.
What time you through?
5 o'clock.
Meet you outside at 5 o'clock.
Eddie Garth, bookie. He quit school in the 7th grade. I held out and went through college. And all these years he's tried to get me to go in with him. To run his office, do the bookwork. He was waiting for me when I finished work. We went to a coffee shop and sat down. And all around us, the loudspeakers reminding me what a happy Christmas it was.
How's Carol, Paul?
Not so good, Eddie. That's what I want to talk to you about.
Nah, no more loans, Paul. You need money? Come with me.
Don't you ever give up?
What's so good at the bank? $25 for a Christmas bonus?
Look, Eddie.
Come in with me, now. With Santa Anita opening. I can work the outside, get new accounts.
Eddie.
And I'll give you 10% of those accounts, Paul. But I won't lend you the money. I'd be a sucker to lend it to you. I'll give it to you if you come in, but I won't lend you anymore.
Okay, Eddie. Forget it. I'll get it some other way.
I don't get it. What's wrong with my deal?
Look, Eddie, how many times have you been rousted by the Vice Squad?
Plenty. Well,
and
what's
every
that
time they book you and they fingerprint you and take your picture.
So what? They never have anything on me.
It's on your record, Eddie, as long as you live.
Ah.
Sure, I need money. Maybe I'm getting close to the time when I'm not too choosy about the way I get it. But it won't be your way.
What? What are you talking about?
If I ever break the law, it's going to be with the right guy and it's going to be the right job.
You're dreaming, Paul. You'll still be in that cage 10 years from now.
I'd hit and run. One job with enough out of it to make it worthwhile. That's the way to be, Eddie. A one shot.
There is no such thing, Paul. You do something like that, you're stuck in it. And you're worse off than if you came with me. Think about it, Paul.
Go home then and fix dinner for Carol, all the time thinking of the money and Carol and the baby and debts. The worry eating at me and thinking about what I'd said to Eddie. Then the next morning, old man Forbes made a withdrawal. The first he'd ever made.
Hiya, son.
What? Oh, hello, Mr. Forbes.
I'm going to miss you, son. Seems like we're good friends after all these years.
Miss me?
Take a look at the slip.
That's a lot of money.
12 years hard work. That's what that money means.
But you're taking it all out?
Yeah, and I quit my job today.
Quit your job?
Ada and me, we've been waiting a long time for this Christmas. We're moving out of the city.
Oh?
Now we've had our eye on a little farm. Now we can buy it. Even got the papers drawn up.
Then you're leaving right away?
About a week. But Ada don't know yet. I'm going to surprise her. Kind of a Christmas present.
But it's not safe to keep so much cash on you, especially
I got a perfect place to hide it, son. No one would think to look there. Besides, I figure I've worked too hard and too long to lose it now. Oh, no, son, it wouldn't happen. Wouldn't seem right somehow.
It stayed with me and it grew. Like a wheel spinning, gaining momentum. This could be the right job. $8,000, enough for that single shot. It stayed with me. All the time growing.
Yeah, lunch is on me, Paul. If you change your mind.
No, I called you, Eddie, because I need your help.
What kind of help?
Well, you can arrange for me to talk to someone.
Maybe. Who is it?
Rocky Perea.
Rocky Perea? Are you kidding? You picked yourself the right guy, all right. The cops don't even know what he looks like. They never mugged him or printed him.
Yes, Eddie, that's right.
You're crazy, I tell you. 1 million people want to talk to Rocky Perea, including the cops. No, Paul, I can't touch it.
You can, Eddie, if you wanted to bad enough. Please, Eddie.
All right. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I do know someone.
And, Eddie, it's got to be soon.
You know you'll be taking a chance. It better be good.
It is, Eddie. Good enough to take the chance for. That was 2 days ago, and this morning Eddie came through. A certain friend, Rocky's only outside contact, told him to keep an eye on a house on Hoover Street. Eddie gave me all the dope, what Rocky looked like, how he'd act, what to expect. And earlier this evening, I told Carol I was going out for a while, that I'd borrow the money from Eddie, and we wouldn't have to worry about paying it back for a while. That's what I told her, but that wasn't the answer. The answer was at the house on Hoover with Rocky Perea. I waited there, hidden in the dark corner behind the incinerator. I kept thinking, making excuses. It wasn't up to me anymore. There wasn't any other choice. I needed money desperately. I needed help to get the money. I waited more than an hour, and then I heard footsteps come up the alley. He stopped before the open patch of light, just like Eddie told me. He was careful, very careful, making sure no one was staking him. I took a deep breath and hitched my weight forward. I was going to cut across the open for the back door. I remember thinking, Now. Do it for Carol, for the rotten, miserable Christmas. Do it now. Rocky! It froze for a split second, and almost faster than I could see, he ducked into a shadow and spun around. The street light didn't touch him. It glinted on something metallic in his hand, and even from where I was standing, I could see he had a gun pointed at me.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Dennis Day in Christmas for Carol. Tonight's production in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Say, Hap, are you going to the in-laws for Christmas?
Yes, Harlow.
That's rough.
No, they're okay.
Oh, I mean rough trip, unless you've replaced worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs. They give your car sensationally smooth performance.
I've heard of them, Harlow.
Well, then you must know that they're designed by the same Autolite engineers who design complete ignition systems, used as original factory equipment on many leading makes of our finest cars. That's why ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs work perfectly with your car's complete ignition system.
The folks really treat us right.
You mean the Autolite spark plug dealers, eh, Hap? Well, they'll replace worn-out spark plugs with ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs for smoother performance, quick starts, gas savings.
After we visit them, we always find...
Find what, Hap?
That you're always right with Autolite, Harlow.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Dennis Day in Elliot Lewis's production of Christmas for Carol, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Rocky, don't shoot. It was a good thing I'd said it. His gun was aiming front and center. He crouched there looking at me, his eyes flat and hard, then his voice deep and tight and deadly.
Who are you?
I'm not a cop, Rocky.
Come close so I can see you better.
Sure, Rocky. I just want to talk to you.
You call me Rocky. You been talking to anyone?
I've been watching you. I know you're Rocky Perea.
You've been watching me? What for?
You're wanted, Rocky, and you need money.
Who are you? Where'd you come from?
That doesn't matter, Rocky. This is a business deal. I figured it out very carefully. You need money, well, so do I. And I got a way to get it.
Just like that, eh?
And, Rocky, I'm not staying. This is a one-shot deal.
A one-shot? There's no such thing.
That's the way it's got to be. We do this job together and we're through. We never see each other again.
I sure ain't gonna go looking for you. But you won't quit. Not if it comes off easy.
I'll quit, Rocky.
What's in this for me?
Half. $4,000.
Huh. Well, kid, you ain't dumb by any means, staking me out like this. Almost smart enough to be a copper. You got guts, too. Tell me, you got a family?
There's no one to stop me. I have a job that doesn't pay enough. This'll raise my salary.
You want this one haul, then it's back to your job, eh?
Yeah. Is it a deal?
What's the job?
I have a car. I'll tell you on the way. If you go for it, okay. If not, we forget the whole thing.
Okay, kid. I'll listen to it. Let's go driving.
I told him what I'd planned and why I needed him, and he agreed to come with me. We drove to the Forbes' house. It was a small and old house, just big enough for the two of them. I drove down to the corner and parked, and we started back.
Lucky there's no one on the street. Let's go up the alley.
Yeah, Rocky. There's the back door. Look, no lights. They're not home.
That makes it a cinch. Okay, go on, take it. It's your baby.
Rocky, I'll have to break a window.
Yeah. You want me to hold your hand?
I'll wrap my jacket around my fist. That'll keep the noise down.
Why don't you write me a book?
Okay, I'm going. I was lucky. The side of the house was hidden from the street by a big tree, and there was light to see with from the Christmas tree in the living room. I wrapped the jacket around my knuckles, and with a short, sharp jab, broke through the window. It sounded like a cannon. The street being so quiet before, I was scared it would rouse the whole neighborhood. But like I said, I was lucky. I scrambled up the sill and dropped into the living room. I was pretty clumsy. The pulled out drawers, looked behind pictures, under cushions. I went in the kitchen and poked around the cabinets. I looked in the cookie jar and I found a rolled up wad of bills. It was money, all right, but only $40. The old lady's secret treasure. I put it back and went into the living room again. Looking around, nervous, I stumbled on the Christmas tree and knocked it over. And then I remembered what the old man had said. A Christmas present for his wife. And I knew it was somewhere on that tree. There were Christmas stockings and favors and little red boots in and around the tinsel and the lighted bulbs. And I found the $8,000 hidden deep in one of the stockings. Got it, Rocky.
Let me see it.
It's there, Rocky. It's all there.
Yeah, $8,000. I guess I'll hold it.
Come on, let's go.
Take it easy. We're going to stick around for a while.
Stick around? What for?
We got some money. How do we know it's all of it? Maybe they split it and put it in two places. We'll wait here and watch when they come in. They'll tip it.
It was $8,000. That's what he withdrew.
You asked for this, kid. Now do as you're told. We'll wait.
I couldn't help being scared. My first job. My first and last. A one-shot. I wanted to get away fast, run and put it behind me. But Rocky just stood there, like he didn't have a worry in the world.
Listen, kid. They're ringing for us. They're wishing us a Merry Christmas. Wait. There they are. They're unlocking the door.
You know, Harvey, the Christmas services were so beautiful.
Sure were. This year in particular.
Harvey,
Huh?
look, the tree. Someone's been in here, a burglar.
Burglar?
Oh, my cookie jar. I've got my house money hidden there.
The old lady ran to the kitchen, but Forbes knew where to look, and he knew it was gone. Rocky was grinning, his face lit up like floodlights. Let's go, Rocky. We've seen enough.
No, hold on a minute.
It's all here, Harvey. I wonder what he was after.
Ada, it's gone. All the money.
All what money?
$8,000. I took it all out of the bank. Ada, I quit my job. It was going to be a surprise.
No.
Every penny we had in the world.
Oh, Harvey. All that money.
No. It'll be all right, Ada.
Oh, 12 years you've worked so we could have something.
Well, I can keep on working, Ada. I'll do it all over again.
Oh, you can't work anymore. The doctor. Oh, what's a person to believe? You work so hard and we do without things for 12 long years. And for what? In 1 minute, some good-for-nothing hoodlum takes it all away from us.
I looked at Rocky standing there next to me, his face split by that grin. It was funny to him, something to laugh about, to gloat over. That's why he'd stayed. Suddenly I knew I couldn't go through with it. Me, the guy who needed the money so bad, the guy with the bright one-shot idea.
Quite a show, eh, kid? Come on, let's go.
He moved off a few steps, but I just stood there, knowing what I was going to do.
Come on, I said, let's go.
Knowing what I was going to do. No, Rocky, we're not going.
Huh?
I said we're not going, and neither is the money.
What's that?
Don't, Rocky. I've got a gun, too.
What's got into you?
I'm going to give that money back, Rocky. I can't stomach this.
Give it back. You're crazy.
No, Rocky. I just didn't see deep enough. Old people like this.
This was your idea. I ain't responsible for it.
I know, Rocky, but I can make it right.
Suppose I don't give you the money.
Then I'll kill you, Rocky.
Okay, kid. You got the gun.
He gave me the money, all the hate showing in his eyes. I turned and started for the house. I gave him my back for a target, but he didn't use it. I knocked on the door.
Yes, who? Paul, from the bank.
I just had a fight with a guy, Mr. Forbes. Saw him jump from your window. I chased after him.
Our window? You saw him?
Yes, ma'am. I was walking past. I kind of figured he'd just finished robbing you.
Well, did you catch him?
Well, I couldn't hold on to him. He broke away, but not before I got this.
Why, Harvey, the money.
Yes.
Oh, Paul, bless you.
Oh, forget it. I'm only sorry I couldn't hold him.
You say you fought with this burglar?
Yes, he broke away before...
We want to thank you, Paul.
Forget it. I'll be going now.
Oh, wait, Paul, we want to give you a reward.
Oh, No, I don't want a reward. I'll have to be going. I stopped there on the porch for a minute, afraid to go back to Rocky. Suddenly terribly afraid of what he'd do to me. The old couple was still talking, loud, like old people do.
Yes, it all happened so fast.
I'll always wonder about that boy. What made him bring the money back?
He's honest, Ada. I know him from the bank.
Oh, fiddlesticks, Harvey. He didn't fight with anyone.
What do you mean, Ada?
Well, his clothes, by the whole story he told us, your young friend took the money in the first place.
Why, Ada, I believe you're right.
Of course I'm right. Now, what on earth made him change his mind like that?
It's Christmas, Ada. Merry Christmas.
She'd known. The old lady had known all along. And it didn't make any difference. Why, she'd even offered to give me a reward. Suddenly I felt something strange, like being clean inside. Like being able to see something that wasn't there before. And the tightness, the fear eased a little.
Now, let's go, kid. The car.
Rocky.
You did what you wanted. You just forgot that half of that money was mine. Now move. Get it moving. What was it you said? You need me, Rocky. You're hot.
Rocky, I made a mistake.
I want to team up with you, Rocky. You need money. I got away.
I was wrong.
Maybe the next job you won't get soft in the head.
There's not going to be a next one, Rocky. I'm through.
Through? You think I spent Christmas Eve with you because I like you? I'm out $4,000.
I'm sorry, Rocky, but there's not going to be a next time.
You think so, huh? Stop the car.
All right. I'll never see it different, Rocky. I found out tonight. If it's not these old people, then it's someone else taking it just as hard.
You sure? You sure it's not Christmas doing this?
I'm sure. It's not for me, Rocky.
Huh. You know, I'm kind of glad it turned out this way.
You what?
Well, you're through, ain't you? You're going back to your job.
Yeah, Rocky, sure.
Good. And I figured it right.
What?
I didn't think you'd go through with it.
Say, wait a minute.
Yeah?
You're not Rocky Perea.
I said you were a smart kid.
But the way you acted, so careful, sneaking in the alley and... Say, who are you?
Weissman's the name. Police Lieutenant Richard Weissman, Gangster Squad.
You're a cop? But where's Rocky?
We picked him up this afternoon, kid. He had a couple of guys working with him, and I thought maybe you were one of them. Now I know different.
Cop.
I don't expect I'll run into you again, kid. So take care of yourself. And Merry Christmas.
Lucky. All the breaks. But I was no better off than this morning. There was still money, 2 months paying the nurse. There was still the worry for Carol.
Oh, Mr. Shane, we've been expecting you. Congratulations.
Doctor, what's the matter? Why?
Oh, nothing's wrong, quite the contrary. Your wife just had a baby.
Baby? Carol?
Oh, she's perfectly all right. So is your daughter.
Carol. Oh, Carol, darling. Are you all right?
Hello, sweetheart. I'm fine.
Carol, is...
We won't have to borrow the money now, Paul. It's turned out for the best after all.
Oh, darling.
And it always will, my dear. We have so much, you and I. We have each other. And now we've got a daughter. A fine, healthy little girl. The rest will come, Paul. Let's live the day we have. Your little girl's over there, Paul. Tell her we're very, very happy she's in the family. And wish her a Merry Christmas.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was
was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep.
Look, Carol, look. She's smiling.
Suspense, presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Dennis Day.
Santa visits girls and boys after they've been good, but Autolite keeps cars and trucks performing as they should.
Right you are, Hap, because Autolite makes more than 400 products for cars, trucks, planes, and boats in 28 plants coast to coast. These include complete electrical systems used as original equipment on many leading makes of America's finest cars. Electric windshield wipers, starting motors, voltage regulators, coils, distributors, wire and cable, generators. All engineered to fit together perfectly, work together perfectly because they're a perfect team. So, friends, don't accept electrical parts supposed to be as good. Ask for and insist on original factory parts at your neighborhood service station, car dealer, garage, or repair shop. And because all Autolite parts are original factory parts, you can be sure you're right, because you're always right with Autolite.
Next week on Suspense, Mr. Cornell Wilde, a star of A Ring for Maria. And in weeks to come, you will hear such famous stars as Mickey Rooney, Ginger Rogers, Eve Arden, and Ezio Pinza, all appearing in tales well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense is produced and directed by Elliott Lewis, with music composed by Lucien Moraweck and conducted by Lud Bluskin. Christmas for Carol was written for Suspense by David Friedman. Dennis Day appears through arrangement with Colgate-Palmolive Peat Company and may be heard on his own program, A Day in the Life of Dennis Day.
And remember, next week on Suspense, Mr. Cornell Wilde in A Ring for Maria.
This is Harlow Wilcox again. On behalf of Autolite, its 96,000 dealers, and the cast of Suspense, I extend to all of our listeners best wishes for a Merry Christmas. Good night. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty hi-yo silver. The Lone Ranger. Before this exciting adventure, a word from our sponsor. General Mills, makers of Cheerios, the ready-to-eat oat cereal that gives you go power, and Wheaties, the breakfast of champions, present by special recording, The Lone Ranger.
All over the country, in every direction, how you doing is the question. And here's what the happy people have to say. Eating our Wheaties and do and okay.
You bet we're eating our Wheaties out west, including the champs.
Take Eddie Matthews, born in Texarkana, Texas, and a great slugger for the Milwaukee Braves. He got a Texas start and a Wheaties start. Been eating them for years. And there's Gene Littler from California, one of the best pro golfers in the game. Listen. How he socks them off the tee. You bet Gene's a Wheaties champ. Been eating them since he was 7. A He-Man breakfast for champs and gonna-be champs. Why, there's a whole kernel of wheat in every Wheaties flake.
Keep on eating your Wheaties, and you'll be doing okay.
With his faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again. Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fella. I'll Silver. It was time for the daily stagecoach to arrive in El Sabre, Texas, and a fair-sized crowd waited in front of the station, located next door to the general store. As the stage approached, Tonto, the friend of the Lone Ranger, finished packing recently purchased supplies into his saddlebag. Leaving his horse at the hitch rail, Tonto joined the crowd and saw 2 young men stepping from the stage. Their clothes marked them as Easterners. One called to the driver.
Hey, driver, will you help us get our luggage out of the boat? Sorry, but I gotta see the mails taken care of and the horses are changed.
Me help you.
What, huh? An Indian. Larry, he's all right, Bob. We'll be grateful for your help, Indian. What's your name?
Me, Tonto.
Well, look.
3 hard-faced men watched Tonto climb to the boot on the back of the Concord coach and hand down the young men's gear, which consisted mainly of new and expensive camping equipment and digging tools. Their names were Stub Evans, Tony Parker, and Slam Sanford. Stub said,
Hey, those tenderfeet look prosperous. Do you think it'll be worthwhile trying to rob them? Might be, Pony. I'll move closer and size up the situation. Go do it, Stub.
There. Everything unloaded from stagecoach. We're much obliged to you, Tonto. I'm Larry Gaines, and my friend is Bob Cass. We're from New York. How'd you like to be our guide?
Oh, me sorry. Me got other things to do.
Oh,
Did I hear you say you want a guide?
Why, yeah.
Well, my name's Evans, Stub Evans. I know the country hereabouts.
Maybe you're the man for us. We'll pay $1 a day in expenses.
It's a deal. What brought you gents to El Sabre?
We're going to hunt for Santa Anna's treasure.
Oh.
It's supposed to be in the Brazos River. We need horses and saddles.
I'll arrange for him at the livery stable. Just leave everything to me.
All right, we'll get
Stub winked at his hard-faced friends, Pony and Slam, then sauntered across the street to the corral adjoining the livery stable. He leaned against the fence and pretended to inspect the horses until his companions joined him.
What you learned, Stub? The Easterners are going to search for the Santa Ana treasure. I got a job as their guide.
There's lots of people that look for that treasure. Those two will never find it.
I don't expect them to, but I'll be in a position to find out how much cash they're carrying. If it's worthwhile, we'll rob them and throw them into the quicksand.
Yeah, good idea. Hey, Stub, that Injun over there looks familiar. You know who he is?
Ah, his name's Tonto. It's all I know.
No wonder he looks familiar. He's a Lone Ranger's pal, huh?
Hey, Pony, are you sure?
Dead sure. Those two smashed the gang I used to work with. I was lucky enough to escape. I got a score to settle with them.
And I've got a score to settle with that Lone Ranger. He helped the law catch me in San Antonio.
Hey, Stub, you think he followed you here after you got out of jail?
I don't know, Slam. We can't take chances. You and Pony follow Tonto. If he leads you to the Lone Ranger, kill them both.
Right.
As soon as I rent horses, I'll take the tenderfeet to the Brazos River. We'll camp on the east bank, near Santa Ana's Ford.
Yeah, I know the place. About 8 miles east of here.
Right. Get in touch with me after you've killed the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
With habitual caution, Tonto took pains to conceal his trail. He rode in a devious route and finally reached the Lone Ranger's camp a few miles north of town. He told about the Easterners, then said,
Where do you think them look for treasure?
They'll likely search along the east bank of the Brazos River, Tonto, near Santa Ana Ford. That's where most treasure seekers go.
Where Santa Ana Ford?
About 5 miles south of Comanche Ford. That's where Santa Ana, the Mexican revolutionist, is said to have put $100,000 in gold into cannon barrels and rolled them into the Brazos River.
Plenty people look for gold.
Yes, and the quicksand swallowed many of them, just as they may have swallowed the gold. Those young Easterners might be in danger from quicksand.
Well, them hire guide.
Oh, the guide probably knows the river. Do you know his name?
Him Stub Evans.
Stub Evans?
That's right.
A short, stocky man with a scar across his nose?
That's right. What matter?
Tonto, Stub Evans is a crook. He just finished a jail term for armed robbery.
Him got 2 friends in town. Him talk with them.
Then the Easterners are in danger. We better warn them.
Then maybe them leave town by now.
We'll ride east of the river, cross it at Comanche Ford, then ride down the east bank toward Santa Ana Ford. Somewhere along the east bank we should find those Easterners.
You must not be looking clouds. And a big storm comes.
Yes, we better break camp at once.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto quickly packed their gear and started east toward the river. In the meantime, Slam and Pony had lost the trail of Tonto, and in trying to find it, rode northeast to the top of the hill.
Hold there.
There they drew rein, while Slam looked through binoculars. Pony studied the black clouds in the sky.
It's getting mighty dark. There's a big storm brewing.
Hey, Pony, I see that engine.
Yeah? I see 2 horses.
Here, one's Tonto. Riding this way with a man on a white horse.
The Lone Ranger rides a white horse. Can you tell if that horseman's wearing a mask?
No, he's too far away.
I'll bet he is the Lone Ranger. Why do you think they're coming this way?
They're following a trail that leads to the old Comanche Ford. Must intend to cross the river.
What'll we do? Plug them?
No, it's getting too dark. We might miss them. Then they'd get us.
Here's the rain. A regular cloudburst.
Pony, I know how to get rid of the Lone Ranger and his partner, and with no risk.
How?
The Comanche Ford is marked by 2 buffalo skulls on posts.
What of it?
It's safe to cross the river between the posts. But above and below the ford are beds of quicksand.
I still don't savvy.
All we have to do is move the posts. In this downpour, the Lone Ranger and Tonto won't notice a change. They'll ride into the quicksand.
Good. Let's get the Comanche Ford.
Right.
Come on, get up there.
Get up, get up.
Unaware that they headed toward a death trap, the Lone Ranger and Tonto followed the trail to the river, then rode a short distance downstream before finding the marker posts. Looking toward the opposite shore, they drew rein.
Oh, fella. See posts on far side river?
I can barely see them.
We cross river now?
Yes, the sooner we...
What matter?
Tonto, there's the buffalo skulls on the post.
Me see 'em. Comanche Indian put 'em there.
Indians always point buffalo skulls toward the east, toward the rising sun.
That's right. And them skulls point south.
The skulls are fastened solidly to the post. I wonder...
What do you think?
The post may have been moved. Easy steady, big fella. Dismount, Tonto. We'll examine them closely.
Easy, fella. Maybe this not ford. Maybe post move south.
That's possible, but... Tonto, here are boot marks of 2 men.
Here marks the horses.
The marks must have been made recently, or the rain would have washed them away.
You think men move posts?
I think so, but we'll make certain of it.
A short distance upstream, the masked man and Tonto found the holes where the posts had been.
The storm has partially filled in the holes, Tonto. I'm sure this is where the posts belong. We'll move them back here.
Why them move?
I don't know. The men who moved them will have to answer that. We'll look for those men after we warn the Easterners about Stub Evans.
We'll continue our Lone Ranger adventure in just a moment.
Diving Doris is 13, and she is a diving queen. She can do a flip because she knows she's got go power from Cheerios. Yes, she's got go power. There she goes. She's feeling her Cheerios, Cheerios, Cheerios.
That's a mighty good idea for you. Just make sure you eat a big bowl of Cheerios and milk every breakfast, and you'll get Go Power, too. Because a Cheerios breakfast is loaded with proteins, vitamins, and minerals. The very things that help build healthy bodies, strong bones, good red blood, and muscles. Why, they'd be the sort of breakfast you'd go for even if they didn't taste so good. And they do taste delicious. Cheerios are a real oat cereal, already cooked with that delicious toasted oat flavor. So that's for you. Swell-tasting Cheerios and milk for Go Power. Eat 'em every morning and you'll hear...
She's feeling her Cheerios.
Now to continue. By the time the posts were in their proper places, the rain had stopped and the sky was clear. The Easterners and their guide had reached the east bank near Santa Ana Ford in time to pitch a tent before the storm began. After the downpour, Stubb remained in camp, while Bob and Larry set out on foot to explore the riverbank.
Wait, Bob. Look ahead. Something moving through the underbrush.
Horse.
And a masked man.
There's an Indian following him out of the thicket.
Bob, that's the Indian we saw in town.
I want to talk to you, men.
Hello, Tonto.
Oh, don't be alarmed because of my mask.
This man won't help you. Him, Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger?
Ah. Maybe you hear him.
Oh, yes. Even in New York, we've heard of the Lone Ranger. My name's Bob Cass.
And you must be Larry Gaines.
Yes.
Tonto told me about you. Oh, where's your guide?
In camp near Santa Ana Ford.
Is his name Stubb Evans?
Yes. Why?
He's a crook.
A crook?
I've never known him to work for an honest living.
He's working for us for $1 a day.
Probably in hope of getting a chance to rob you.
Oh. Now I see why Evans asked so many questions.
Questions?
Yes. While we were in our tent during the storm, he seemed very interested in our plans. He probably was trying to find out how much cash we had.
Did you tell him?
Yes. We told him we had only a couple of $100 between us. Larry. We also told him about our clue to the hiding place of the treasure. You might as well forget the treasure. You're probably right, unless that tree is farther north.
What tree?
We're looking for a big cottonwood tree along the east bank of the river.
There's no growth larger than brushwood between here and Comanche Ford.
That settles it. We'll dismiss our guide.
Just a minute. What has the tree to do with your treasure hunt?
Tell him, Bob. Well, you see, my grandfather was an officer on Santa Ana's staff. He saw the gold-filled cannon barrels rolled into the river. At that point, there was a big cottonwood. Grandfather cut his initials into the trunk. He came back here years later to look for the treasure, but he couldn't find the tree. And neither can we. The only big trees we've seen are over there on the far side of that ravine.
Some of those are cottonwoods.
Yes, but they're too far away. We're looking for one on the riverbank.
Oh, I'm curious about that ravine. It might once have been the bed of the Brazos River.
Do you think so?
It's possible. Rivers have often taken a new course after a flood.
The river went through that ravine at the time the gold was hidden.
If it did, that's the place where your grandfather carved his initials in the trunk of a cottonwood.
And that's where Santa Ana hid the gold.
Let's look for that tree.
If we find it, we'll need picks and shovels. You bet we will. I'll go back to camp and get them. While you're looking for the tree. Good idea. Bring back the horse. Right. I'll meet you in the ravine.
We'll be there.
Meanwhile, Slam and Pony had crossed the Santa Ana Ford and joined Stubb Evans. The three crooks moved a short distance away from the tent to a place where they'd be concealed by brushwood while they compared notes. Pony told about moving the guideposts after he and Slam had sighted the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
So, as far as we know, the Lone Ranger and his pal are dead.
Did you see them ride into the quicksand?
No, we didn't stay around. They're dead, all right.
Well, I'm glad they're out of our way.
Now, what about the tenderfeet? Have they got cash enough to make it worthwhile robbing them?
Only a couple of hundred. But I found out something else.
What? They've got a real clue to the location of the buried treasure.
Huh?
Yeah. They got it straight from one of Santa Anna's men. He was a grandfather, one of the Easterners. I think those greenhorns are going to find that treasure.
And if they do?
Yeah. We take it.
Well, what about the Easterners?
They'll have a bad accident and get swallowed by quicksand. That's the way that I've seen. Yeah, it sounds like one of the horses in the camp. I'll look through the brushwood, see what's going on.
Hey, who's that?
It's one of the Easterners. He saddled the horses, and now he's tying picks and shovels behind the saddles.
That means something.
It must mean the boys have found a place to dig. Get ready to go. We'll follow
Leading Bob's horse, Larry rode along the top of the sloping bank of the ravine until he reached his partner, who stood with the Lone Ranger and Tonto near an old cottonwood tree. As Larry dismounted, Bob said,
Larry, we've examined over a dozen trees so far.
Well, if we do find the right one, we have the tools to dig.
Did you see your guide?
No. His horse and gear were in camp, but I didn't see him.
Kimasabi,
Yes, Tonto?
here, old custom trunk of tree. Bark healed over. Look.
Larry, the initials RC. Grandfather's initials. This is the tree.
The tree stood at the top of the former riverbank, which was a steep slope about 15 feet in height. Bob and Larry hurried down the slope and went to work on the riverbed with pick and shovel. The Lone Ranger and Tonto, standing on the top of the bank near Scout and Silver, watched with interest, and without suspecting that 3 killers were approaching. Stubbs, Slam, and Pony had left their horses well back and made a stealthy approach on foot to a point from which they could peer through the brushwood and see the Lone Ranger and Tonto near the big tree. Stubbs growled,
You lied to me. You didn't kill the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
We thought for sure they'd ride into the quicksand.
You two get your guns ready.
Stubbs, I'm going to wait and see if the splitters find the treasure.
Sure I am. But when they find it, or decide they're not going to find it, we'll open fire.
Stubbs, they're going to the bottom of the ravine.
We'll move right over close to the horses where the Lone Ranger and Tonto were standing. Then when we open fire, we'll be within 20 feet of them.
Quietly, the 3 crooks moved ahead until they were on the bank almost directly above the treasure hunters.
Low so they can't see us right.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto widened and deepened the hole in the ground. Then the masked man's spade struck metal.
I've struck something. Dig here, Tonto.
Sounded like metal.
I see something.
It could be the barrel of a cannon.
We'll soon know.
It is a cannon barrel.
Here's the front end. Throw away that dirt, Tonto.
The other cannon must be here, too.
That's right. They were all rolled into the river at the same place.
There, that's enough, Tonto.
Now we see if gold can
The conversation was followed closely by Stubb and his companions on the bank near the horses. Slam whispered,
We'll jump up and fire when you give the word, Stubb.
Get ready.
Yeah, the cannon was plugged with wood. It's all rotted.
You get it out?
Yes, I have most of it out.
Guns ready?
All set.
None of the outlaws noticed that Silver was increasingly uneasy and watching them closely.
Now I can reach into the barrel.
What's that? Find anything?
Yes. Look at this. Gold. We found it.
Let them have it.
As the outlaws rolled, Silver charged, plunging against all 3 before they could sight their guns, and their shots went wild. As the Lone Ranger and Tonto ran up the bank, their guns were barking. Stubbs' gun arm was smashed by a bullet. Pony collapsed and dropped his gun when a bullet drilled his thigh. Slam threw aside his weapon, raised his hands, and shouted,
No, don't shoot. I surrender.
So you plan to ambush us?
No, wait. Listen, mister, wasn't my idea.
Was it your idea to move the guide post at Comanche Ford?
No, Pony thought of that. He thought you two would ride in a quicksand.
You murdering crook. Evan, you'll pay for trying to kill us. My arm is broke. You're lucky to be alive. If I'd had a gun, could use it like that masked man, I'd have put a bullet through your head.
Let's kill these crooks right here.
You don't mean that, Bob.
No, I suppose I don't.
We'll tie these men and dress their wounds. Then stand guard here while Tonto rides to town for the sheriff.
It was after dark when Tonto returned from town, and bonfires lighted the area where the treasure had been found. The sheriff was with Tonto, also several deputies and a heavy wagon. After the prisoners were handcuffed and placed on the wagon, the sheriff said,
"These crooks will be in jail for a long time for attempted murder."
That's where they belong, Sheriff.
What about the gold? Well, son, the men and I'll help you dig it up, and we'll take it into town for safekeeping. You found it on government land, and I'm not up on the laws about buried treasure. But I'm sure you four gents will get a big share of it.
Tonto and I are not to share in it.
Well, why not? If it hadn't been for you, we'd never have found it.
Bob, I'm glad we were able to help you. Gold buried in the ground is of no use to anyone, but circulated, it will be a benefit to many people. Come on, Tonto, our work is finished. Adios.
Good night, Well, boys, whether it's the capturing of crooks or the finding of buried treasure, the best man to have on your side is the Lone Ranger.
I'll Silver! Away!
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The time, Christmas 1958. The place, Korea. The story, a Korean Christmas carol, written for suspense by George Bamber.
Sounds good, doesn't it? They hear kids singing, I mean. I can't understand the language, but I know what they mean. They sound so fresh and full of promise, almost as if they knew. But then I'm getting ahead of myself. The name's Connolly, PFC Larry Connolly. I'm a soldier in Korea. I was sent here just about a year ago, this time. That's where this strange story begins. Christmas, 1958. Christmas was for me that year miserable. I'd been stuck on guard the night before, and so I planned to stay in bed the next day and forget about Christmas. I hadn't counted on my first sergeant. Since I was the first man he came to in the barracks, it's only logical that I should be the man he picks to drive a truck all the way to Seoul and back. It was night by the time I got on the road, headed back from Seoul. It started to snow. Big flakes coming down soft at first, then so thick and fast I could hardly see. I was just over that first range of mountains. Was starting on the twisting, slippery way down when I saw him. The sight of him scared me wide awake. He was standing bareheaded, the wind whipping the snow and his hair around his face. When he raised his thumb, I had the strangest feeling he'd been expecting me. Almost as if it were unnecessary. As if he knew I'd stop. You want a lift? I'm going as far as Camp Santa Barbara. Well, where's that? Do you mean where's that? Everybody knows where Camp Santa Barbara is. Don't stand there with the door open. Hop in. All right. Well, you picked a lousy place to hitchhike. Just didn't stop. Oh, thanks. Happened to your gloves. Your hands look half frozen. Gloves? Well, I must have lost them. Must have, don't you know? Oh, yes. Yeah, sure. I must have left them laying on the counter of the PX back there. Leave your hat back there, too? No, I lost my hat in the dark. I fell. I suppose that's why your uniform's muddy and your jacket's torn. Oh, yes, that's right. Of course. I was walking along the edge of the road and I slipped in the dark. And I slid halfway down the embankment before I could stop. I see you managed to hang on to your bag. Oh, yeah, I can't afford to lose that. It's important. I'm late as it is. What outfit you from? 3rd Recon, 7th Division Infantry. Infantry? There's no artillery up this way. The infantry's stationed about 7 miles back. You're heading in the wrong direction. Yeah, well, 3rd Recon is a special detachment. We're off in the hills, all by ourselves. It's just off this road. Never heard of it before. My name's Connolly. Larry Connolly. What's yours? Oh, thanks. Mine's Richard Dombrowski. Good to know you, Dombrowski. Say, look, if you can let go of that bag long enough, I'll let you wear my gloves till your hands warm up.
Oh, no, thanks. That's all right. I'll put them in my pockets. Say, is it okay if I set my bag on the floor?
Oh, sure, no sweat. Say, you don't have a cigarette, do you? I'm fresh out.
Well, I don't know. Wait a minute. Yeah, here's some. Let me light it for you, though. You watch the road. I saw a whole truckload of troops disappear over that curve up ahead. Killed all but 2.
Yeah? When that happened?
1951.
1951?
Yep.
You were here when the war was on.
I guess you could say that.
Tell me, Dombrowski, what were you doing Christmas Day? That they didn't send you all the way to Seoul with an empty truck on a wild goose chase. That's what I did today. What'd you do 7 years ago?
Well, you see those lights up ahead? That's the village of Cheongju-ri. We marched through there the day before Christmas.
Were you scared?
Oh, I think everybody's scared.
Hey, look out. You'll burn yourself.
What's the matter?
Cigarette burned all the way down to your fingers.
Oh.
Isn't it burning you?
Well, that? No. I guess it burned itself out before it got to my skin. Anyway, you see that hill over there? Well, Christmas Day, 1951, my platoon was all dug in around that hill.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. We went out on a patrol from that hill. And that was one time I was plenty scared. As a matter of fact, it happened just 7 years ago tonight. It hadn't snowed that day, but there was snow on the ground. I can remember because the guys were joking that at least we had a white Christmas. And what a Christmas it was. As I said, it was quiet Christmas Day, 1951. We were sitting around in our holes waiting for the fun which we knew would begin the next day. They'd managed to get hot turkey up to us, so we were relatively comfortable and happy until Brownie, our squad leader, came back from a talk with the old man.
All right, I'll take the first 5. The old man wants us to go out and have a look around. Come on, knock it off. Get rid of your dog tags and canteens. Anything that might rattle or make a noise. We won't be gone long, but we're moving light. Hey, Whitey, might as well leave your helmet here. We want to move quiet.
But, Sarge, it's too cold to go out without a hat.
Cut the comedy, Walker.
We moved out on schedule just as night was falling. And with the night came the cold. We moved rapidly along the valley for about an hour or so when Brownie stopped and raised his hand.
All right, you men, hold it up. Once we get on the other side of that ridge up ahead, we'll observe maximum security. No talking, no lights. Keep down. And watch where you put your big, clumsy feet.
Yeah.
These people just love tripwires with flares attached. Walker, you still got the walkie-talkie?
If I didn't, I wouldn't be here to tell you about it.
Still working?
It's warm, if that's what you mean. That's more than I can say for myself.
All right, keep it that way. We may need it if we run into trouble. Hey, while we're here, let's take one last check on your gear. Make sure your rifle bolts aren't frozen, weapons on safety, and all grenades are secure in the pins. Okay, everybody set? Let's move out.
And so we did move out. The M1 felt light in my hands, like I'd never realized how light and easy it was to carry a rifle before. The going was easy. The rice paddies were frozen over and covered with snow, and we stepped carefully between the clumps of rice stubble left over from the last harvest, so the dry straw made no noise. We walked steadily, quietly, maybe 200 yards without a sound, regularly stepping up and over each low rice paddy wall as we came to it, each one bringing us just that much closer to the top. And then it happened.
Down! Hit the target! Get down!
Somebody must have tripped a wire because suddenly the inky black was transformed into the merciless white of the operating table. Everything seemed stopped and slowed down, just like an old movie before the projector blows up. I could see the other guys, the hills, and the deadly, winking fires of the guns. And then we fell down to the protection of the earth. And some of us fell with metal in our bodies.
Crawl, you apes! Crawl to the mud tight and stay low. They can't hit us there.
And we crawled, digging our knees and fingers into the frozen mud until they were bruised and torn. We crawled closer to the ground and faster than we ever had before. We crawled to the sanctuary of a foot-high mud hill.
Keep your heads down. We got a sprint. It was about 150 yards to a foot. Where's the other?
Yeah, there's 200 yards to the left.
They got us pinned in a crossfire. We'll never get out of here. All right. Now, don't panic. Keep your head down. We'll make it out. Walker, see if you can raise Lady Wolf on a walkie-talkie. Walker?
Walker's laying out there in the middle of the paddy, Brownie. He's never going to have to worry about being warm again.
Smith's out there, too. I saw him get it. I saw it when the flare went up. I saw him catch it in the face.
Okay, Harry, easy. He's still got the walkie-talkie. Can you see if it's all right?
He's laying on it. It's hard to tell.
Whitey, that flare is going to go out mighty quick. If a man was fast, he could probably streak out there and back before they put up another one. We can use that walkie-talkie to call up some artillery to get these monkeys off our back.
I can't, Brownie. I must have been hit. I can't move my legs anymore. I can't even feel them.
Easy. Are you bleeding bad?
No.
Harry, you all right?
As far as I know.
Stevens?
Sure. I'd like to take a whirl at that walkie-talkie.
Wait till that flare burns out.
It's dying now.
Just a few more seconds. Go.
By the time the flare lit the sky, Stevens was halfway back, the walkie-talkie dangling from his right hand. So forth, but in midair, some huge, invisible hand slapped him to the ground.
I'm hit. Oh, God, I'm hit.
Easy, boy. Quiet. Where'd they get you?
I'm hit.
Look him over, Harry.
They busted his arm.
See any other places?
No, just his arm.
Wrap a dressing around it and button it inside his jacket. Hand me that walkie-talkie.
It's no good, Brownie. The walkie-talkie smashed.
What?
It's useless.
We're going to have to move out of here fast.
Well, how are we going to pull out? We can't crawl back down the paddy. They'll slaughter us.
All right, look. We'll move along the dike to the edge of the rice paddy. From there, we can duck into the underbrush and move back down the mountain.
We'll never make it. They'll spot us when we try to make across the clearing to the underbrush. They'll swing their guns around.
We gotta try it. We can't stay here. Stevens, can you crawl?
Yeah, I can make it.
Okay, now you lead off, and I'll follow you. I'll crawl backwards and pull Whitey along behind me.
Whitey?
You heard me.
Well, we'll never make it.
Quiet! All you have to do, Harry, is follow along behind and pick up the pieces. Take his weapon. It'll make him lighter.
Keep your hands off me, Harry.
Come on, Whitey. We haven't any time to fool around.
I'm not fooling. I'm not going with you guys.
Come on, you lost too much blood already.
That's just it. Like you said, Brownie, it's only a matter of time. You can't get anywhere with me. You'll never even get past the clearing trying to drag me across. You're smart enough to know that, Brownie. It'll be tough enough, even with two good legs.
We're not leaving you here.
That's what I figured you'd say, Brownie.
I'm still in charge here.
I figured you'd say that, too. Brownie, you see this grenade? It doesn't have any pin in it. The only thing that keeps the spring from kicking the clip off is my hand. Now get out of here, Brownie, before I let it go.
Oh, why?
You want me to let loose of this grenade? Now prop that BAR up on the dike in front of me. And scatter the clips where I can get at them. I'll wait until you guys get to the edge of the paddy before I open up.
Look, baby.
I'm still holding the grenade, Brownie. Time is running out. You're going to have to hurry. I feel like I want to fall asleep, and I don't know how much longer I can stay awake. Just wish me a very Merry Christmas and beat it.
Merry Christmas, Whitey. All right, you guys, what are you waiting for? Let's move out.
See, that's right. This is Christmas. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see. What's the matter? Don't you people like Christmas carols? Well, machine gun fire always was better getaway music than Christmas carols. Above thy dark and dreaming.
Whitey lay there until the others had crawled to the end of a low rice paddy wall. And then he threw his grenade. When it exploded, he opened up with the BAR, making enough noise to make the enemy think the patrol was launching an attack. Both machine gun nests zeroed in on him, but Whitey stayed well below the little mud wall of the rice paddy, humming his Christmas carol, loading the BAR with a fresh clip every time it went empty, and perhaps wondering briefly why he was going to die so far away from home, on a little pond of frozen mud he didn't care about or even own. still firing and singing, even after the rest of the squad had escaped into the underbrush, and until either the machine gunners found their mark, or else he finally fell asleep.
Gosh, he was quite a guy.
No, I guess it was just a detail that had to be done, and he had to do it. Well, there's my stop right there where that little road turns off up ahead.
Your detachment's up that road?
That's right at the end of it.
Well, sure, I've seen that road before, but I didn't think there was anything up there.
But just let me out here.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thanks a lot.
No sweat.
Say, if you ever want to look me up, remember my outfit's all the way up at the end of this road. I'll be right up there.
Okay, I'll drop in sometime.
Right. So long, and thanks again.
I drove off figuring it'd be a very cold day in Korea before I ever looked him up. Such a weird guy, he gave me the creeps. I got about 5 miles down the road when I discovered he'd left his bag sitting on the floor of the Deuce and a Half. Took a lot of arguing with myself, but I decided that the only decent thing I could do was to swing around and take it back to him. Besides, maybe I could stop in the orderly room and check him out. Find out what his story really was. On the way back, I almost missed the road because it was so small and seldom used. I drove up it for about 10 minutes. I was beginning to wonder if I hadn't gotten the wrong road after all, because I passed no other vehicles or GIs or anything to indicate there was an infantry company around. Just when I was ready to turn back to the main road, I saw lights twinkling up ahead from what looked like a couple of Quonsets. It seemed impossible that an infantry outfit could be housed in 2 Quonsets, but I pulled the Deuce and a Half to a halt outside the gate and cut off the motor. I picked up the AWOL bag, got out of the truck, trying to figure out which one was the orderly room. I walked across the hard-packed snow of the yard to the first Quonset. I still couldn't figure it out. Light and warmth seemed to pour from the windows along with the music I remembered from somewhere, but couldn't quite understand. I stepped up to the first window I came to and looked inside. There were kids all over the place, kids of all sizes and descriptions, kids just old enough to sit by themselves, kids just losing their first teeth, some just starting their teens. I stood in the snow spellbound, just watching them sing. Finally, I tore myself away and headed for the front door, eager to be inside. A plaque made out of the howitzer shell stopped me. In the faint light, I could just barely make out the words engraved on the polished brass. But finally, I read it all. It said, "This orphanage has been erected and maintained in the memory of Corporal Richard Whitey Dombrowski, who somewhere north of the village of Chungju-ri, Christmas night 1951, willingly gave his life that others might live." Suddenly, I didn't know where I belonged anymore. The AWOL bag dragged at the end of my arm like a 1,000-pound weight. I could figure what was in it, but I tore it open anyway. The bag full of candy, soap, and toothpaste and gum shined up at me, looking as rich and rare as frankincense and myrrh. I closed the bag, laid it up against the door, close, so they wouldn't miss it. And then I banged on the door as loud and long as I could, until I was sure that they heard me. And then I ran. I ran back down the road to my truck as fast and as hard as I could.
Suspense. You've been listening to a Korean Christmas Carol written for suspense by George Bamber. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense. in tonight's story were Bill Lipton as Larry Connolly and Lyle Sudrow as Richard. Also heard were Larry Robinson, Wasson Zerby, Bill Meader, Alan Manson, and Guy Rep.
And now stay tuned for the mystery program that is unique among all mystery programs. Because even when you know who is guilty, you always receive a startling surprise at the final curtain. In the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, transcribed by the Signal Oil Company to enable the entire production staff of The Whistler to spend the Christmas weekend at home with their families. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invite you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales, hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, Christmas Gift.
Christmas was only a few hours away, and Mary Winston couldn't help but marvel that its spirit could reach down and touch a cheap nightclub like Pete's Cantina on the outskirts of Panama City. Sitting alone at a table, she gazed at her tawdry surroundings. And then from the bar at the far end of the club came the strains of a Christmas melody, a melody which brought back memories of happier Christmas Eve. Yes, the Christmas spirit is undying, isn't it, Mary? You watch the strolling soloist, Sailor Reynolds, nod as he comes closer and passes your table. It's been 3 months now since you were hired as a singing hostess at Pete's Cantina. 3 months that you've been billed as Candy Porter with no one, not even the proprietor, knowing your real identity, Mary Winston. At long last, as Candy Porter, you seem to be safely away from your past. As the music ends, you look up, aware suddenly that Pete Gardinas, the rolling, heavy-set proprietor, is approaching your table.
Candy! Candy! Look, there is an American gentleman just came in. He wants to buy you some champagne. Champagne, you hear?
Please, I'm not in the mood tonight.
Look, kid, this looks like a big spender. If he wants to buy champagne...
All right, all right.
You turn and see the tall, heavy-set American approach, and suddenly you become tense. After a year of running away, you've learned to spot his kind in a moment, haven't you, Mary? You're certain he's a detective. And now you have to fight to remain calm as he approaches.
Sit down, Mr. Fontaine. Sit down.
Sure you don't mind, Miss Porter?
Of course not.
Thanks. In that case, I will.
I'll go get the champagne. I keep him on ice. 11 years old, too.
Cigarette, Mr. Fontaine?
No, thanks.
You don't mind if I do?
Oh, no, of course not. Oh, here. Light?
Thanks.
Well, this is very unusual for me, spending the Christmas season so far away from home.
Mm-hmm. How come?
Business. Important business.
Couldn't it wait?
No. This business means a lot to the people I work for.
Yes, what do you say, the bubble water? From Marseille, 13 years old.
You said 11.
That was from Le Havre. This is even better. Now I put him back in the ice. If you want some more, just call Pete. I've got more just like him.
Well, I guess it's a few hours early to say Merry Christmas, Miss Porter. So I guess I'd better just say good luck, huh?
Thanks. And here's hoping you find whatever you came here for.
Oh, I've already found what I came for. You see, I came for you, Mary Winston.
Friends, to all of you who have opened your homes to the Whistler, not only throughout the year, but even tonight on this last busy weekend before Christmas, Signal Oil Company has asked me to express their sincere appreciation for this privilege and pleasure. And we of the cast want to add our thank you, too. During the 9 consecutive years that the Whistler has been broadcast by Signal Oil Company, many of us have celebrated Christmas with many of you a number of times. And believe me, we're mighty proud that you consider us a part of your entertainment family. Tonight, on behalf of Signal Oil Company and the independent signal dealers who serve you in the states of California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah, I want to convey warmest season's greetings. May the many blessings of living in these United States of America enrich your holiday season and the new year.
It's ironic, isn't it, Mary? A sorry Christmas gift after all the months of hiding, running from one town and then another, using a different name in each place, but never your own, Mary Winston. These past 3 months you've been known as Candy Porter, singing hostess in Pete's Cantina here in Panama City. And now this detective sitting across from you has called you by your real name, Mary Winston. And you can't run, can you, Mary? Facing Fontaine, you decide there's only one move you can make. That you've only one card left. But if you play it wisely, carefully, it might prove to be an ace.
You say you came here after me, Mr. Fontaine?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you mean.
I think you do. And if I were you, I'd be ready to leave for Los Angeles in the morning, Miss Winston.
Like the billing says, my name is Candy Porter.
I know what the billing says. I know what it said in Brooklyn when you were billed as Doris Trent. In Denver when you were billed as Gladys James. But when you took a powder out of Los Angeles a year ago, you were Mary Winston.
You know, it's strange you're mentioning Mary Winston. I was even thinking about her when you came in. A lot of other people have mistaken me for Mary Winston. We could have passed for twin sisters. She was my best friend. I could tell you a lot about her if you feel like listening.
Sure. I'll listen. Go ahead and talk if it'll make you feel any better. We can't get away until tomorrow morning anyway. The more you tell now, the less you'll have to tell later.
Thanks. You see, Mr. Fontaine, Mary Winston was just a good kid who got a bad break. She was in love with a swell guy, but scared to death of a hoodlum. It's an unusual story, Mr. Fontaine.
It was an unusual story, wasn't it, Mary? It began a year ago at a Christmas party given by your employers, the Southwestern Manufacturing Company, in the pink room of the swank Wilchester Hotel. And you were the hit of the evening. You sang 3 songs and went over big. Your friends from the office hadn't known of your talent, but they all agreed you were fine, and when the party was over, you were feeling good. So good you decided to drop into the hotel cocktail lounge, make a phone call or two, and have a nightcap by yourself before going home. When you finished your phoning, you walked to a vacant stool at the bar.
Scotch and soda.
Make mine the same, Bill.
Gotcha.
I heard you sing tonight. You were terrific.
Thanks.
What's the matter? Did he stand you up?
Who?
The guy you were just talking to on the phone. No. I guess he didn't stand you up.
Didn't he?
He's on his way here right now. Lucky guy.
Here you are, folks.
Take it out of here, Bill.
$1.80 out of 10.
Well, now look here, Mr.
Oh, take it easy. It's practically Christmas. What's the harm in my buying you one drink? Like I said, I liked your voice, Miss Winston.
Change.
Thank you, Bill.
You a detective or a mine reader?
Oh, you mean your name?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't any trick to find that out. I just asked one of the boys I saw dancing with you. My name's Joe Collins. I see you've never heard of me.
Should I have? Oh, now I get it. You're a professional talent scout and want to get me into the movies.
Nope. I'm a gambler. Disapproved?
Why? Live and let live's my motto, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now.
What?
Live my life and let you live yours. Good night, Mr. Collins. Just think I can tell the girls at the office tomorrow I met a real live gambler.
Wait a minute. You could tell them a lot more than that if you believed in your voice as much as I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm. You've heard of Domingo's out on Sunset, haven't you?
It's an undercover gambling club, isn't it?
It's more than a gambling club. There's a swell floor show. A lot of big people go out there, people that count.
And all intimate friends of yours, I'm sure.
No, but I know quite a few. Some who could push you right to the top with that voice of yours.
Mr. Collins, this is the oldest line I ever heard.
It's not a line, but skip it. Go on home, listen to the radio, eat candy. You can have a terrific time. If you go to Domingo's with me, you can't tell what might happen. You might have to meet a couple of show producers, maybe even sing. So play it safe. Go on home. Maybe dull, but you'll always get to work on time.
Is that all you have to say?
Yeah, that's all. Except, nighty-night.
Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Could we be back early?
We'll leave any time you say.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Well, now you're making sense. I'll call a cab.
Well, never mind. I have a car. It's parked right around the corner.
Joe Collins used just the right approach, didn't he, Mary? You realized you were being a fool. But as the hours passed, you told yourself your fears were groundless. Joe treated you with perfect courtesy, introduced you to several people, including the producer of the floor show. You even sang a number which was well received. Later, you watched the gambling for a while and then proceeded to the Silver Room to enjoy the second floor show. Afterwards, you had supper in the main dining room and watched the guests dancing.
Joe.
Then suddenly, you've had enough.
Joe, do you mind if we leave now?
I said we'd leave any time you said. What hit you, the music?
I guess that's it.
Another guy?
Another guy. My fiancé, Dr. Frank Wilson.
What happened to, Dr. Wilson?
He's in Korea.
Marines?
No, Army doctor. It was his car we drove out here in.
Oh, that's too bad. We could have had a lot of fun. Well, shall we go?
Please.
Hop in, unless you want me to drive.
No, I'll drive.
Good. We'll probably be safer that way.
As you drove toward your little apartment on Clinton Avenue, you were glad your reckless little adventure was nearing its end. Everything had been fine so far, but you couldn't throw off a feeling of uneasiness. For a few miles, Joe said little, and then he seemed preoccupied, and you were relieved when he finally broke his strange silence.
Say, Mary, would you mind stopping for a minute at that drive-in? All of a sudden, I got an awful headache. Maybe I can get some aspirin there, huh?
I doubt it, but we'll give it a try.
You can keep the motor running while I'm gone, huh? I'll only be gone a few seconds.
Okay. What? Joe!
Get going.
Joe, you shot him!
I said get going fast. There's a gun in your ribs, baby. You just saw what happened to one guy that crossed me.
Did you kill him?
I don't know.
Oh, why was I such a fool?
Turn right at the next corner. A car's been tailing us for the last 5 minutes.
I'm glad. I hope it's a prowl car. It'll save me the trouble of phoning the police.
I said turn! He didn't turn, baby. You know, you shouldn't have said what you did about phoning the cops. Nobody but me and you knows about that drive-in job. You just better pull over and park. We got a couple of things to talk over. I said pull over.
Okay. Please, Joe. Joe, don't kill me. I know you can do it easy, but I'll never tell about tonight.
That's the way you feel now. An hour from now, you'll feel different.
Oh, no, I won't. On my word of honor. I'll make a deal with you, Joe. I'll trade you my silence for my life. I swear I won't talk about it ever.
You sound like you really mean that.
Oh, I do mean it, Joe. I swear it. I swear it.
You're swearing, huh?
Yes, Joe. I swear it.
Well, I'm not being very smart, but I'm going to take a chance. You drove the getaway car, so I guess that makes us partners anyway. Yeah. You know, partner, we ought to have a lot of fun together. Now, how about dropping me off at my place, huh?
Tell me where to go.
Live about 6 blocks from here. Just turn to the right at the
After you dropped Joe and reached your apartment, you were so weak you could hardly stand. You literally fell into bed. You tried to sleep, but sleep was impossible. Early the following morning, you heard the newsboys shoving the morning paper under your apartment door. You hurried across the room and looked at the front page. The headlines and stories sickened you.
Drive-in manager shot in attempted holdup. Dies. Unidentified man and woman seen fleeing from scene of crime in dark green 49 model sedan. Pedestrian believes he can identify car.
There it was, Mary. Your situation looked hopeless, didn't it? You felt you must keep your word to Joe Collins, but you knew you must never see him again. Only one avenue seemed open to you. You had to leave town, disappear. You dressed hurriedly, packed a few belongings, withdrew your savings from the bank, and by noon were on an eastbound plane for New York. You decided to take advantage of your voice and become a professional entertainer. The first few weeks you auditioned almost daily with negative results. But finally, after 3 months, you were singing at the Golden Lion, a prosperous little nightclub in Brooklyn, New York. After a shaky start, you became a featured performer under the name of Doris Trent. As the weeks went by, your work improved. You became sure of yourself. And one night you noticed Vern Shields, famous musical comedy producer, in the audience. His presence seemed to inspire you, and you went over better than ever. Afterwards, in your dressing room, you wondered what he thought of your voice. You were certain that your visitor was Vern Shields. Weren't you, Mary?
Come in.
Well, long time no see, Miss Trent. Doris Trent, it says on the program.
Joe.
I'm surprised you recognized me. I thought you'd forgotten me.
All right, Joe, you found me. Now, what's on your mind?
You double-crossed me, baby.
Well, you're crazy. That's why I left town, so I wouldn't even have to talk to anybody.
You wrote the police, though, didn't you?
Oh, you're wrong, Joe. I didn't write to anybody.
It had to be you. It couldn't have been anybody else. 2 days after you left, they picked me up for questioning.
But it wasn't me. I've kept my word with you, Joe.
Yeah? Well, there's one way you can convince me.
How?
Marry me. Tonight.
Marry you?
Mm-hmm. That way I'll be sure of you. Wives can't testify against their husbands. Besides, I'll know what you're doing all the time.
Look, Joe, I got to do my show. Let's talk this over in the morning.
Tonight. We can run up to Connecticut. But go ahead and do your show. Only if you've got any ideas about calling the cops, don't forget you drove the getaway car. And in case anything happens to me, there's a written confession in my pocket telling exactly how you helped me pull the job. How we used your boyfriend's car. How you kept the motor running waiting for me.
You've thought of everything, haven't you?
Everything, so don't try anything. Now go ahead and do your show. I'll wait for you here.
You started down the hallway, turned toward the powder room off stage. Suddenly you realized what a fool you'd been. But you made up your mind not to keep on being a fool, didn't you, Mary? Not with that wall telephone just 5 steps ahead of you.
Operator, get me police headquarters and hurry.
Better hang up quick, baby. I mean, quick. I had a hunch you'd try to double-cross me. Now I know for sure who wrote that note to the cops.
I didn't, Joe. Honest, I didn't.
You just tried to call him, didn't you? All of a sudden, I've lost interest in getting married. We're just going to take a little ride. Now, come on, baby.
No, Joe, I'm not moving a foot. Not an inch. You let go of my arm.
Hey, what's going on here? Something wrong, Doris? Is this guy bothering you?
Yes, he is. He wants to date me. Tell him to leave, will you, Eddie?
Well, maybe I better take him into the office and call the cops.
No, thanks, Eddie. There is no need for that. He's just another wolf. Tell him to leave. That's good enough.
You heard what the lady said, Bob? Start traveling.
Okay, Pop, anything you say. I'll see the lady later. I'll be parked right across the street, Miss Trent.
You should have let me call the cops.
I would have, if he hadn't had you covered with a gun.
Oh, I see. Gee, thanks, kid. I guess you saved my life.
Skip it. Look, Eddie, I gotta get out of town, and fast.
After what you just did for me, getting you out of town is a cinch. Grab some clothes while I phone my wife I'm bringing you home. We'll go out the rear entrance. My car's on the lot next door. Tomorrow I'll call a friend of mine in Denver. He'll put you to work right away. You better change your name, though.
That'll be easy. I'm getting used to it. So, Mr. Fontaine, that's where I met Mary Winston. In Denver at the Hi-Hat Club, billed as Gladys James. She was there for quite a while, room with me. Then she left just like that one night, when a waiter told her some guy wanted to interview her for a magazine. She figured it was Joe Collins again. It's the last I ever saw of him.
That's the end of the story?
That's the end.
And Mary Winston told you all this?
Well, we were close friends.
I'll say you were.
You don't believe me, do you?
If you were in my position, would you believe a story like that?
No, I don't suppose I would.
With Santa's arrival only 2 days away, who can help being in a whimsical frame of mind tonight? Whimsical about such things as how Santa can travel so far in one night. Well, maybe here's the answer. A child asked his father one day how St. Nick went so far on a sleigh. The wise father replied, he can take that long ride 'cause his reindeer drink signal, they say. Well, I decided to check this story with Santa himself, and now I can report to you. Said Santa when boarding his sled, "This year I'm using my head. It's signal for me. I'll go farther, you'll see." And over the rooftops he sped. Now, as you've no doubt guessed, in addition to letting you in on Santa's mileage secret, there's also a moral to this story, which is the gas used by Santa, my lassie or lad, is also the gas that is best for dear Dad. With Signal, Dad's car will not only go far, but give top performance, the best to be had.
Well, Mary, it looks as though you've lost, doesn't it? That your show wasn't good enough. The man across the table, the detective you're certain has come to take you back to Los Angeles, to stand trial for a murder you had nothing to do with, doesn't believe you. You're certain, too, that the jury in Los Angeles won't believe you, not after you're running away. Your phony names, your present surroundings. You're sure Joe Collins has been captured, that the authorities have read his confession, that he's trumped your last card, ruined forever your hopes of eventual reunion with the man you still love, Dr. Frank Wilson. Yes, Mary, it looks as though you've lost, but you're going to play the game through to the end anyhow. White Christmas. If Sailor Reynolds knew what that song did to you, the memories it brings back, he'd play something else, wouldn't he, Mary? As Fontaine gazes into space and drums his fingers silently on the table, you watch him closely, await his next words.
How long did you say you've been here?
I didn't say, but I got here about 3 months ago.
You like it here?
No.
That's what I figured. Hey, look, Miss...
Cigarette, Mr. Fontaine?
Yeah, thanks.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Thanks again, Miss Porter.
Did you say Porter?
That's what you said your name was, didn't you? That's what the billing says, too, isn't it?
You mean you believe me?
You sounded straight to me. Well, it looks as though I came a long way for nothing, doesn't it? Still, I'm kind of glad I came. I always figured that confession they found on Joe Collins' body was a phony.
Joe Collins? Joe Collins dead?
Yeah. The Brooklyn police got him one night about 5 months ago. A woman called the police from a little nightclub, the Golden Lion Club. She hung up before they answered the phone, but the Brooklyn boys decided to investigate anyway. One of them spotted Collins in a car parked across the street. He got trigger happy, and that was that.
Joe Collins. Finished.
Right. Well, Miss Porter, if you ever run into Mary Winston...
I'll tell her all about the Christmas gift I got from a swell detective named Fontaine.
No, I'm just a private detective, Miss Porter. But the police gave me the tip that you... Mary Winston might be working here.
Oh, then they knew...
A man named Wilson hired me for the case. A Dr. Frankfurt.
Frankfurt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's out of the Army now. Still very much in love with Mary Winston. Doesn't care where she's been. Just wants her to come back and marry him.
He must be quite a guy.
Yeah, he's okay. Now, incidentally, do you think you'll ever see Miss Winston again?
Yes, I do.
Well, do you think she might come back to Los Angeles sometime and clear things up with the police? Make the doctor happy?
I'm sure she will. Someday. You see, a girl like Mary gets to feel a little soiled after working around joints like this. She'll probably want to spend a year or so in cleaner surroundings. Maybe out in the desert. Sort of freshening up before going home. Seeing anyone she cared about.
Yeah. From what you said, I expect she would. Well, I might as well be getting along. Merry Christmas, Miss Porter. Happy New Year.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Signal Oil Company has asked me to remind you, there's an easy way we can all help to make this holiday season happier for ourselves and others. Drive at sensible speeds, be courteous, and obey traffic regulations. It may save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Betty Lou Gerson, Bill Conrad, Bill Boucher, Marvin Miller, and Brett Wood on the harmonica. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by Ed Bloodworth, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transcribed and transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday, when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.